purchase these beautiful silver coins for myself?
To find out how to secure your 1921 vintage Morgan silver dollar at our exceptional government price, call 1-800-456-2466. Call now and we'll give you a free catalog just for calling. Call now to get your 1921 vintage Morgan silver dollar plus your free catalog just for calling. 1-800-456-2466. That's 1-800-456-2466.
If your retirement plan is on set it and forget it, it's time to take control. Tune in for Financial Safari with America's Wealth Coach and best-selling author, Coach Pete D'Arruda. For more than 25 years, Coach Pete has been helping people just like you plan for retirement. Join Coach Pete every week as he discusses topics like why your retirement plan should also be an income plan and how to make sure you're getting the most out of your 401k.
Financial Safari with Coach Pete, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and Sunday afternoon at 2 on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
This is a Jackson Hewitt Tax Service announcement. Don't want to wait weeks for your tax refund? That's a reason to go to Jackson Hewitt Tax Service. File your taxes with Jackson Hewitt and ask a tax pro how you could get up to $3,200 fast with a no-fee refund advance. It's a 0% APR loan from MetaBank that's available before your tax refund is, so you could get money when you need it. Go to jacksonhewitt.com to learn about availability, terms, and how you could get money on a prepaid card fast, like Today Fast. Go to Jackson Hewitt today. That's Jackson Hewitt.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458, 800-481-1458, or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
The new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
What's up, everybody? It is the Vegas Take. Glad you could join us. It is Wednesday today, isn't it? I think they call that hump day. I don't even know what that means, by the way. Maybe they're talking about the AVN Awards, the porn expo that's starting up this weekend at Hard Rock. I don't know. But anyway, welcome to the show. Glad you could join us. A lot to get to today, a lot to go over. Just in a minute here, we're going to be talking about this crazy situation that took place at the Fashion Show Mall and involved a gun. We're going to talk to a witness who had to experience some of the fear that was taking place. We got some impeachment audio yesterday. Nothing really shocking, right? I mean, what happened yesterday is what we thought what would happen. Republicans will vote Republican and Democrats will vote Democrat. It was a sad joke yesterday. So we'll talk about day one of the trial. And Hillary Clinton saying some really dumb things about Bernie Sanders, and it's part of the reason why she didn't win in 2016. We'll get to that. Then we got Judge James Rogan joining us in hour number 2. If you don't remember who this judge is, he's a former congressman. He was one of the Clinton impeachment managers. So, man, what a great guest to have on to talk about bringing back some memories down memory lane. So he'll be joining us. And then the New York Post's very own Emily Saul will be joining us. She has been covering the Michael Avenatti situation, his conditions in that jail cell, why he is there, and what is next for Michael Avenatti. She will be joining us. Hour number 3, plenty of sports to talk about. A nutty college basketball game yesterday that reminded me of the Malice at the Palace, the brawl that took place in the stands. This was sort of like that in a sense. Kansas and Kansas State. Why I believe that several college basketball players will not be putting on a uniform for the rest of the year. We'll get to that coming up in hour number 3. And, of course, UNLV basketball on the road tonight, playing their in-state rivals, Nevada, Reno. So we'll get to all that loaded show. But as I mentioned last night, I got some text messages from a few friends of mine, very similar to the text messages I got on October 1. And those text messages read, hey, we have a mass shooting. This is going on at the Fashion Show Mall. People have been shot. And, of course, the first thing that enters my mind is, oh, my God, how many people have died? What is going on? I put on the TV. Police everywhere surrounding the Fashion Show Mall. Yes, we've learned that, thank God, nobody's lost their life, but the shooter is still on the loose. Several people were injured with gunshot wounds. And joining us on the line right now, I wanted to talk to somebody who was actually there that sadly had to be in fear and had to go through all this, sadly. But we really do appreciate Leba Kazi is joining us on Leba Kazi, I apologize, is joining us on the line right now. And she was in the mall when all this took place. Leba, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm glad to hear that you got out of there okay. Can you take me back to exactly, just a normal night for you, right? I would imagine you were in the Forever 21 store. That's what you told our producer. Take it from there. You're there with a few friends of yours. Talk to me about what happened right before you were asked to leave that store.
Right. So my sister-in-law and I were just shopping. We're in like the $5 section, like enjoying the sale. And my brother was sitting in a chair at the front of the store just waiting for us. He was like holding our purses. And he sees the Forever 21 employees like running to the front door and locking it. And he asked what was going on. And they informed him that there's an active shooter. And then he heard gunshots.
Oh, my God.
So he ran over to me and my sister-in-law, and he was just screaming our names, and he found us. And we were like, what's going on? And just by the way he was screaming our names, we knew something was wrong. And my first thought, living in the world we live in, was shooter. And then I was like, no, that can't be it. And so he gets to us, and we were like, what's going on? And he goes, there's an active shooter in the mall. We have to get out. And we had this moment where we were like, we didn't know what to do. And we just hear a lady scream, go to the back and make a right. And everyone in the section takes off running at the same time. And we're all just running to the back. We're not sure what we're running towards, but we're just trying to get out of there.
How many gunshots do you think you heard?
I think my brother heard one, maybe two.
So you see people running. You're obviously scared, as I think everybody would probably be. Are you thinking of October 1 and you're thinking, oh, my God, is this another mash? Like, what is going through your mind when you're running and trying to get out of there?
We hear about all the time. And I was just thinking, oh, my God, I'm actually in a shooting. And October 1st of 2017 did cross my mind. And I was just thinking, how many people are hurt? Does he have an AR-15? Like, what does this person have? Is there only one shooter? Is there multiple?
Right. You have no idea.
Where are they?
Yeah, right. You have no idea.
I didn't know how close or how far. I knew they were close enough that my brother was able to hear gunshots.
Yeah, I can. I'm sorry you had to go through that. So as you're trying to get out of the mall, I would imagine was it like kind of pandemonium? Were there a lot of people running with you? How many people did you see running with you trying to get out of there? And then when you finally get out of the mall, what happens next?
So there were about a bit over a dozen or so people running with us, maybe like 24. And it was really difficult because we were all running, but as you get closer to the back of the store, there's people who didn't know what was happening, and they're still like shopping and going about their business. And so we had to try and like nonchalantly get their attention and be like, we have to get out of here. And as people saw us running towards the exit, they like came running with us. And there was a security guard at the exit who was like shuffling us all through.
Oh my God.
He got us all out of there. And then once everyone was out, he shut the door and locked it with himself inside. And I saw him run to like the front of the store.
Well, obviously he's a hero, and I think that can't be spoken enough. This isn't even a police officer, right? You're saying a security guard helping you guys get out of the mall, locking the door, keeping himself in there and doing his job. And I think it's very, very important to call out the heroes and the people that are so brave, because usually, I'm sure you would agree, Leba, we hear the people that are not brave. Those are the people that we talk about in the media, the people that are cowards, but we don't talk enough about the heroes. And it sounds to me that security guard is extremely brave and did a great job and could have saved lives. So we certainly need to commend him. Okay, so you get out of the mall. You're out of there. The security guard locks the door. What happens next for you?
I completely agree with your sentiment. When I saw him run back in, I thought of Parkland, where the school cop didn't do anything, and I was like, that's so amazing.
Right.
And once we were out, we walked away from the building a bit, and people were just standing outside in huddles. We could hear police sirens coming, and we just had this moment of what now? Like,
right.
We're out of the mall, but we're still, like, right at the entrance. We're still standing outside. We still don't know where this person or people are.
Mm-hmm.
And our car was parked in the parking garage.
How long were you waiting out there before you were able to just leave and get in your car and go home?
Well, we were there for maybe around 10 minutes, just trying to figure out what to do. And we had this discussion of should we get the car or not? Because the car, we got a good parking spot. It was like right next to the entrance of the mall.
Right.
And so we were like, the shooter could easily be there trying to get out.
Right. Exactly.
It didn't seem worth it to go get the car. So we just grabbed a cab and came back to our hotel room and then went back an hour later for the car.
So you don't live in Las Vegas. You're a tourist here, having fun, having a vacation?
Yeah, so my sister-in-law lives here and my brother is moving here. So
Gotcha.
we just came to look at apartments.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this might be difficult for you to hear, but right now. But I'll tell you something. Vegas is a pretty safe place, and I understand it's hard to say that when we've had 58 people that lost their lives on October 1. But let me just say, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. I'm sorry that you're out here just to have a good time. That's a traumatizing experience that you had to go through. I think that would be traumatizing for everybody. But we're very happy that you're safe. We're very happy that you're with your friends and family. And I really do appreciate you sharing your story with us, Liba. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate you. And stay safe, okay?
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Sure. I appreciate you telling your story, Liba. Thank you again. That's Liba Kazi. She was in the Forever 21 store at the Fashion Show Mall. Wow, that's just riveting stuff, right? You're with a family member. Imagine that for a second, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine you're with a friend, maybe a family member. You're in a store in a mall. And one of your friends or a family member is screaming out your name, let's get the hell out of here, there's a shooting, let's get the hell out of here. Just imagine that for a second. You're just there with friends, just hanging out. Just like the people at the Route 91 festival that were just there hanging out at the concert, having fun. And then all of a sudden you hear shooting. Now that was a different situation because right away people didn't know what was going on because of the situation. People didn't know there were real gunshots being fired. But it appears to me of what that very, very brave young lady, Liba, was telling us, that one of her family members right away knew that it was gunshots. People knew right away. And it also appears to me, and I could be wrong on this one, but the shooter is still on the loose, by the way. We certainly know that. It appears to me that the shooter wasn't trying to kill innocent people. Based on the information that police have said, what we know is that there were a bunch of juveniles, and what I mean by they were kids, not older adults, that got into some sort of verbal confrontation. Then one of these juveniles pulls out a gun. It doesn't appear to me that this juvenile was just trying to kill innocent people. It appears to me that it surrounded around that argument. However, when you're recklessly shooting a gun in a populated place, innocent people could be hurt or killed. Luckily, thank God, nobody lost their life, but what we have learned is that there are at least 3 people that were hurt. I would imagine those are gunshot wounds. But again, we're going to get more information as it comes forward. First thing I thought about was October 1. Right? We're never going to forget that day. I'm telling you, I got those same text messages last night. There's something crazy going on at Fashion Show Mall. Shooting. Mass shooting at the Fashion Show Mall. Then I saw the images. I put on the local news, and I see 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 cop cars and fire trucks. I'm thinking to myself, oh, my God. When I turned on the TV on October 1, very similar images of just a lot of cop cars. Nobody really knows what's going on. Thank God nobody was seriously hurt or killed. Let's find this dumb idiot that decided to pull out a gun and shoot in a crowd. Let's find this jackass that did that. Geez, I wonder how he purchased a gun. I guess the answer is more guns, huh, folks? Yeah, according to my friends on the right. More guns have to be the answer, right? Let's just arm everybody. Sure, that makes complete sense. Thank God nobody lost their life. Dangerous times we're living in. That sounded like a very bright young girl that we spoke with just a few minutes ago that shared her story. How about that, huh? Is that going to help tourism? Here she is coming out here with her friends and family. She doesn't live here, having a good time. She has to evacuate the mall because of a shooting. Boy, that'll make you come back to Las Vegas, won't it? And by the way, I mean that when I say Las Vegas is pretty safe. Considering the 24/7 lifestyle, alcohol, and everything else, Vegas is a pretty darn safe place to live, in my personal opinion. Yeah, there are some bad areas in Las Vegas, just like there's bad areas everywhere. But considering the lifestyle and the convenience of this city, I would say as a whole, Vegas is much safer than many other places in the country. And I think for the most part, Metro, the police officers here do a pretty darn good job. And things could be much worse. But I got to tell you, this gun violence needs to stop. I don't have the answers, but I have some opinions on it. I think we could help prevent some of these things from happening. We're going to find this kid who did this, punish him as an adult as far as I'm concerned. I don't care if he's 14 or 18 or 13. He certainly must have some parents, right? How the hell did he get his hands on a weapon? And if he's dumb enough to pull it out in a mall, put that kid behind bars until he's 50, as far as I'm concerned. I don't want this monster in society. People could have died last night. And this idiot, I wonder what the fight was over. I wonder what that was about. What was that about? I bet you it was like, somebody owed the kid $20, something petty like that started an argument. It would not shock me one bit. Who's paying for the Uber ride home? That's how some of these things started with these idiots. I'm telling you, that's how some of these arguments start. I've heard of people dying in this city, and it happens everywhere, literally over like $5 over a drink. People have died over stupid crap like that. Metro's going to find this kid. I know if you're listening right now, you're hiding somewhere. Maybe you're hiding in some basement of one of your friends' homes. The police are going to find you. You better just turn yourself in, because eventually Metro's going to find you, and you're going to make things a lot worse on yourself if you don't turn yourself in now. Trust me when I say that. And if you're thinking of doing something stupid and you still have that gun on you, there's a chance you're going to lose your life if you battle it out with the police. Turn yourself in. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the impeachment, the actual trial that took place yesterday, everything that took place yesterday, why I'm not surprised, why I think it's bad for America, and what does it mean for Donald Trump. We'll talk about that when we come back. You're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
This is John Greenhut, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-679-0969. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
This is a Jackson Hewitt Tax Service announcement. Don't want to wait weeks for your tax refund? That's a reason to go to Jackson Hewitt Tax Service. File your taxes with Jackson Hewitt and ask a tax pro how you could get up to $3,200 fast with a no-fee refund advance. It's a 0% APR loan from MetaBank that's available before your tax refund is, so you could get money when you need it. Go to jacksonhewitt.com to learn about availability, terms, and how you could get money on a prepaid card fast, like Today Fast. Go to Jackson Hewitt today. That's Jackson Hewitt.
Transform your bathroom in just one day with the experts at Reborn Bath Solutions. Reborn Bath Solutions has been serving Las Vegas for over 3 decades, and right now they're offering 50% off all labor and 1 full year with no interest and no payments. You can't beat that. Make your appointment online today at rebornbathsolutions.com, and they'll give you a $50 Bed Bath & Beyond gift card just for considering them. 50% off labor, 1 full year of no interest and no payments, plus a $50 Bed Bath & Beyond gift card. What are you waiting for? Reborn Bath Solutions. They bring the showroom to you with free in-home appointments at your convenience. Visit rebornbathsolutions.com today. That's rebornbathsolutions.com. Take advantage of this amazing offer. 50% off all labor, 1 full year of no interest and no payments, plus a $50 Bed Bath & Beyond gift card. Reborn Bath Solutions, where it's done right and done in a day.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Some comments that Hillary Clinton has made over the last few days. Same reason why she didn't win in 2016. We'll get to that here coming up in a little bit. But look, what happened yesterday in this impeachment trial was not shocking to me. What did the Democrats try to do? Well, they're trying to get witnesses to testify, which, by the way, I am all for. That's what you do in a trial. You can talk to me about the Constitution all you want. You talk to me about how the Democrats are partisan hacks all you want. You can talk to me about all they want to do is get the president out of office so they can get a Democrat in there in 2020. You could labor those opinions to me all you want, but it doesn't change this, folks. When you have a trial, especially when you have a president and we're trying to figure out whether he committed high crimes and misdemeanors, you need all the information you can get. Now, there is a possibility that some of those witnesses will help the president and exonerate him. I don't know. They want to get Mulvaney up there. They want to subpoena all this paperwork. They want to subpoena the text messages because it's information. And it's information that may convict the president or it may exonerate the president. But don't give me this load of crap and talk about the Constitution and how it's so unfair. Don't give me this crap. Well, let them bring up Hunter Biden. Let's swap like it's the NFL, like it's an NFL team or something. Like you can make trades. That's not what this is about. This is about trying to find the truth. And, you know, we're going to have Judge James Rogan on. He's a former congressman, and he was a Clinton impeachment manager. I'm going to ask him this question. Didn't you guys want to find out the truth back in the late 90s? Didn't you want to get as much information possible in order to impeach the president? Well, he's going to say yes, I would imagine. We'll ask him that. There's no difference here. The Democrats want to get as much information as possible. Look, there's a chance that John Bolton will get up there and testify. By the way, I think John Bolton is a moron. He's a coward because if he wanted to talk, he could talk right now. He no longer works for the Trump administration. If he wanted to do interviews with the media, he could. You know what John Bolton has said over the course of several months? You know what this coward has said? Yes, I do think John Bolton is a coward. Here's why. He stated that he's going to tell all these things in his upcoming book, but he's not going to do media interviews. You know why? Because all John Bolton cares about is money, and he's putting money before the country. And then, after being pressured and saying all these dumb things, showing what John Bolton is all about, then all of a sudden he says, well, you know what? If they subpoena me, I'll testify. Well, the Democrats wanted him to testify before, and he ignored their request. But yet he's going to write a book. What does that tell you about John Bolton? With that being said, the Republicans are very scared to have this guy testify because they don't know exactly what he's going to say. Mulvaney's another one. And what the Democrats have tried to do, or at least they tried to do yesterday, was subpoena, like I said, paperwork, text messages, any type of information that could get down to the truth. Now, if you're a Republican and you're a Trump supporter, and you believe in your heart, and you believe Donald Trump with every word he says, if you're one of those people, and you believe Donald Trump is completely innocent, and this is a witch hunt, and there was no quid pro quo, okay. Let's go with that for a second. Let's just assume that the president is completely innocent. There was no quid pro quo. And even though 90 minutes after that phone call with Zelensky, aid was withheld, if you're going to make the assumption that that had nothing to do with the Biden investigation, and the only reason why Trump brought that up is because he cares so much about corruption, okay. So let me ask you this question if you're one of those people. Why not call forth witnesses? If Donald Trump did nothing wrong, why not bring the witnesses in? It's the same reason I asked about his tax returns. And even though legally he doesn't have to show his tax returns, if you say he's got nothing to hide, then why not show your tax returns? It's the same thing. If you're innocent, why not prove you're innocent? Wouldn't that make his case better for the election in 2020? Hey, I keep calling this a witch hunt. I'm going to make the Democrats look really bad now because I did nothing wrong, assuming nobody is going to lie under oath, and I have no reason to believe they are. Let's have Bolton testify. Let's have Mulvaney testify. Let's show all those text messages in the WhatsApp. Let them subpoena everything because I did nothing wrong. Well, that's what the president is saying, right? He's saying I did nothing wrong. He's saying I'd love to testify. I'd love to let everybody testify. Then why are Republicans trying to block the Democrats from subpoenas and getting these witnesses on the stand? Why? Ask yourself that question. Now, any logical person I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. I don't care if you're way to the right or way to the left. Any logical human being, in my personal opinion, would give you this answer. Why are the Republicans blocking these witnesses from testifying? Why are they blocking all these subpoenas? Well, it's one simple answer. Because they're afraid what the Democrats and the American people might find out. That is exactly why. Make no mistake about it. The majority of those people that are in that Senate trial that are Republicans, the majority, maybe not all of them, because there are a few that have literally an IQ of 20, but I think the majority of them know what the president did was wrong, what the president did could be considered criminal, and we don't want to allow Democrats to elect somebody in office in 2020. That's exactly what many of these Republicans are thinking. Make no mistake about it. It is completely partisan. Say what you want about the Democrats. In any trial, the prosecutors want to put forth as many witnesses as possible, and they want to hear as much evidence as they can that could lead to a conviction. This is absolutely no different than that, folks. And I'm going to play you some of the audio when we come back. And we'll also take some of your phone calls at 702-257-5396. Again, if you want to be a part of the program, we'll take some calls on the other side of the break. That is 702-257-5396. So we'll take a quick break. We'll take your calls. We'll play a little bit of audio from last night, and we'll continue this conversation on the other side of the break. You're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDAWN.
Trump impeachment trial. The prosecution is about to begin the first of 3 days making its case to convict President Trump of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. And correspondent Lauren Fox reports Republicans are not expected to move to dismiss the case.
There was a deadline this morning for each side, both the Democrats and the president's counsel, to make it clear if they plan to offer any motions in today's trial. We now know that they will not file any motions, including a motion to dismiss.
The president today said he'd like to see the members of his administration that he's blocked from testifying appear at the trial.
I'd love to have Mike Pompeo testify. But again, that's a national security problem. But I'd love to have Mike Pompeo, but it's a national security problem. I'd love to have Rick Perry. Rick Perry has asked me, I'd love to testify. Please let me testify, because he knows this is all a hoax.
At this time, trial rules don't allow for calling any witnesses before proceedings. I'm Mike Moss.
Here, it's time to check the roads.
From the Leonard Road Traffic Studio.
This report, sponsored by the Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer. Slowing I-15 southbound looks like a nice recovery from the rush hour with no significant delays. Slowing 15 northbound, still a pattern from the 215 Beltway up to Flamingo, and a nice recovery on the 95 east side and west side. I see some light eastbound slowing on the 215 Southern Beltway between Buffalo over to Jones Boulevard. A brutal cold and flu season's here. The number one flu symptom is fever. We can't always predict the flu season, but we can always prepare for it with the Exergen Temporal Scanner, exergen.com. John Michaels from the KDAWN Traffic Center.
Here is some great news. If you missed the deadline to sign up for health insurance, or if you sign up for a plan that you're just not happy with, you still have a choice. It's called MediShare. It's the affordable alternative to health insurance, and it's worked beautifully for 25 years. They have more than 400,000 members now around the country. MediShare is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry, and over the years, members have shared over $3 billion of each other's medical bills, so they could help share your needs too. And best of all, you could save a lot of money with MediShare. The typical savings for a family is about $500 a month. Your savings could be more or less, but think about what you could do with that extra money every month. You're not stuck with a high-cost health plan. You can join MediShare anytime, so call them today and check it out. Here's the number to find out more, and there's no pressure. They are super easy to talk to. Call 844-91-BIBLE. That's 844-91-BIBLE. 844-91-BIBLE.
If you need to sell your house,
talk to Aaron Taylor.
You want to sell it fast and get the most cash, talk to Aaron Taylor,
the real estate guy.
Aaron Taylor here, your number one real estate guy. 2019 was an incredible year, and 2020 will be even better. We have designed a 3-step program to get our sellers the most money possible. Number 1, sellers that want a cash offer, we will provide you several offers from all iBuyer companies: Zillow, OfferPad, Opendoor, and all local investors. Number 2, we will pay and do all repairs with our crew and list your property to get you the highest price. Number 3, For our traditional sellers, we'll provide our 25 years of experience along with our exceptional marketing campaign, all to get you the most money possible. And to top it all off, we give a cash advance within 24 hours if needed for all sellers. Call 702-310-6683. That's 702-310-MOVE. eXp Realty, call for details.
Talk to Aaron Taylor,
The real estate guy.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 1015 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us on a Wednesday. Day 2 of the impeachment trial, and we're reviewing what took place yesterday. And of course, we're going to follow the breaking developments today. It went till like almost 2 a.m., which is completely ridiculous because Chief Justice John Roberts had to be in court today at 10 a.m. Just absolutely absurd. But hey, these were Mitch McConnell's rules, right? The useless turtle, Mitch McConnell. So yesterday, there was some cheap shots back and forth, which is inappropriate, completely inappropriate. Let's start with Jerry Nadler, who criticized the president's lawyers. Here's Jerry Nadler yesterday, day 1 of the impeachment trial.
I am struck by what we have heard from the president's counsel so far tonight. They complain about process, but they do not seriously contest any of the allegations against the president. They insist that the president has done nothing wrong, but they refuse to allow the evidence and hear from the witnesses. They will not permit the American people to hear from the witnesses. And they lie, and lie, and lie, and lie.
Well, I'll tell you what, Nadler's right about one thing. They're certainly blocking any witnesses from testifying. He's absolutely right about that. So, of course, Pat Cipollone, who has wonderful hair plugs, by the way. I don't trust anybody with hair plugs. Right? I'm bald. I just shaved my head. Cipollone has this horrible bald spot, and then he has these disgusting hair plugs. I don't trust anybody like that because you know what it speaks to me? You're phony if you have hair plugs. You're phony if you wear a rug. Pat Cipollone, you're phony. Anyway, I have other problems with Cipollone, but anyway, he's the House counsel firing back at Nadler. Here's what he had to say.
Mr. Nadler came up here and made false allegations against our team. He made false allegations against all of you. He accused you of a cover-up. He's been making false allegations against the president. The only one who should be embarrassed, Mr. Nadler, is you for the way you've addressed this body. This is the United States Senate. You're not in charge here.
Yeah, well, he's not in charge here, but why should, explain to me why Jerry Nadler should be embarrassed. What were those false allegations? What, that you're blocking people from testifying because you're afraid of what they might say? No, he's absolutely right. You should be embarrassed by your hairdo, Cipollone. You're the one who should be embarrassed. And you want to talk about cover-up? Okay, so, Mr. Cipollone, if it's not a cover-up, then explain to us why you are blocking any information from coming forward. Please explain that. You're not allowing text messages to be released. You're not allowing documents to be released. You're not allowing people to testify. Please explain to me. And don't bring up the Constitution because it's got nothing to do with it. Please explain that to me. So this was a very important moment, and I think it was probably the most important moment yesterday. And it's Chief Justice John Roberts, who I think both sides respect a great deal. And now he's getting frustrated, John Roberts. The only time, really, where he addressed both parties. And here's what he had to say. Have a listen to this because I think it's very powerful.
I think it is appropriate at this point for me to admonish both the House managers and the President's counsel in equal terms to remember that they are addressing the world's greatest deliberative body. One reason it has earned that title is because its members avoid speaking in a manner and using language that is not conducive to civil discourse. In the 1905 Swain trial, a senator objected when one of the managers used the word pettifogging, and the presiding officer said the word ought not to have been used. I don't think we need to aspire to that high a standard, but I do think those addressing the Senate should remember where they are.
I agree with the Chief Justice. I agree with him 100%. calling people liars and attacking people. That's not what this should be all about. It is a page from the Donald Trump playbook, and both sides should not be doing it. He's absolutely right. So I want to know what you guys think about this. What did you guys think about yesterday? It was partisan politics as usual, but I'm going to take the Democratic side on this one. Yes, I understand that many of those Democrats hate Donald Trump. Yes, I understand that they're doing everything they can to try to get him out of office. I understand that. And you're right. But what is wrong? I posed the question to you listeners. What is wrong with calling witnesses and trying to get information? If you had an attorney and you were trying to prosecute someone, say, for breaking into your home, and there were witnesses and there were people that had some information that could convict the criminal who got into your home, allegedly, broke into your home, wouldn't you want them to be heard? Wouldn't you want that evidence to be put forward? Well, guess what? Of course you would. Of course you would. So what is the difference here? Forget about the fact that you're a Republican. Forget about the fact that you're a Donald Trump supporter. Forget about the fact that some of you may be wearing the Donald Trump knee pads. And just try to be nonpartisan for 10 seconds in your life. If Donald Trump didn't do anything wrong, then call all the witnesses you want. He's got nothing to worry about. But the reason Republicans are blocking witnesses is because they're afraid what guys like John Bolton might have to say. Is that so difficult for some of you to understand? Make the argument for me if you disagree with me. What do you think about this? What did you think about the antics yesterday? And what do you think about today? And do you think we're actually ever going to learn the truth? That is the question I asked you all. And the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to join the program, 257-5396. Whether you're a Trump supporter or not, whether you agree with these proceedings or not, I would like to hear from you. Again, that number, 257-5396. And let's start off with Brady. Brady, you're first up on the Vegas Take.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. I got a couple things to say. After Trump released the transcript of that phone conversation, the Democrat whistleblowers, that whole theory went out the window. You got everything right on the paper. So
no, that's not true. Oh, hold on. Not true. Not true. We don't have everything.
Not true about that, Brian. It's a transcript.
Okay, let me explain. Okay. Everything is not just the transcript. There is actually testimony and witnesses that have talked to the president behind closed doors, and what the Democrats are trying to do is to figure out if there was a quid pro quo. Just because there might not be a quid pro quo in the transcript doesn't necessarily mean there was not a quid pro quo, as Sondland said and others, and we want Bolton to testify, and this isn't just about that phone call.
Okay, when do you want John Bolton to testify? When the House of Representatives had their chance to bring any witness they want in,
Not true.
Why did they bring in John Bolton?
Well, obviously you don't know the facts. So once again, Brady doesn't know what he's talking about. So hold on. No. Let me educate you, Brady. Okay, Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so let me explain to you why you have no idea what you're talking about. The Democrats and Adam Schiff tried to call in Bolton. Guess what Bolton did? Brady? So you don't know this because you're an idiot. Bolton didn't show up. He didn't show up. And guess what? Hold on a second. I'm not done yet. Hold on. I'm not done educating you, Brady. So hold on. Yeah, you can keep calling me names, but you're wrong and I'm right. See, guess what? His attorneys, and I'm talking about Bolton's attorneys, threatened to sue the Democrats. And Bolton didn't show up. So when you're going to call into a program, why don't you have a clue about what you're talking about? I just gave you facts, dummy. So you can call me any name you want to, but I'm right and you're wrong. Do you want to come up with some more unfactual statements on this show? Go right ahead and I'll prove you to be an idiot once again.
If I was Mitch McConnell, I would throw it out after the first.
Did you not hear what I just said? Did you not hear what I just said? You just said that. You just said, fine, you can call me names all you want, but I just gave you facts. The Democrats tried to call Bolton in. Did you not hear what I just said?
He's not coming.
But you just said, you just asked a question. Okay, pot him down for a second. Pot him down. Don't hang up on him. See, I just proved Brady to be a moron because I gave him facts. He just said, and many nut jobs on the right think that they didn't try calling Bolton in. Guess what? That is not factually accurate. I just proved Brady wrong, and I tried to educate an uneducated man, which is basically impossible to do. Okay, Brady rode the short bus to school. Okay, but what I'm trying to explain to Brady is Democrats and Adam Schiff tried to bring John Bolton in. Bolton ignored those requests, and Democrats were threatened a lawsuit by Bolton's attorneys. Then what does Bolton decide to do? He comes out and says he's going to write a book about this, but he's not talking to anybody. And then when he took a lot of flack for that, then he eventually said, well, if they subpoena me, I'll come in. Those are the facts. That's exactly what happened. You know what? I don't even want to hear from Brady anymore because he has probably the lowest IQ of any of our callers that call in. The number is 702-257-5396. Again, that number, 257-5396, is the number if you want to join the program. Let's go to Carl. Carl, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, buddies. Listen, first of all, I have to say something. You should be much kinder to someone like Brady. You must be kind to the mentally impaired.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Help them get treatment and analysis.
But Carl, you get what I'm saying, right? When an idiot on the right calls in, and they say, well, why didn't they try to call in John Bolton? They didn't. And it's completely opposite of the facts, which the Democrats tried to get Bolton in. He ignored those requests, and then they threatened to sue him. But Brady has no idea what he's talking about because his lover is Tucker Carlson, and he gets his information from Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham, and he doesn't know what he's talking about. These are the facts.
Well, one thing I want to clear up. Everybody keeps bringing up like this idiot Brady about the transcript. Well, number one, it was not a transcript. It was a memorandum.
Correct, and not everything was in there. Yep.
And the front page on the memorandum said, this is not an exact transcript of everything said. Parts were let out or were not put in. So
right, I mean, it's not...
Want to delete it.
Right, it's not verbatim.
Deleted from it.
Yeah, it's
not a verbatim transcript, no. And they keep saying it's an exact transcript, and it's a memorandum. There's a difference.
I agree, Carl.
Was written by the Republicans.
I agree, Carl, and I appreciate the Carl. You're absolutely right, man. I appreciate the call. You're absolutely right, and it gets me so frustrated when people don't know the facts. We can have our disagreements on opinions. It is not an opinion. It is not a fact that they did not try to call Bolton in, because they did, and he ignored that request, and he's more interested in writing his book. The lifelong Republican who's more interested in making money than doing the right thing. Wow, what a shocker. Boy, that's never happened before. It reminds me of somebody else, the orange man that is the president of the United States. Caring more about yourself than the country, and that is why he was impeached. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, 257-5396. Let's go to Ricky. Ricky, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Yes, hi. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning.
And, I have a lot of respect for you because you're sharp. That's why you have your own radio station and so on. Just wanted to let you know, I listened to you and Brady talk. I think you do need to be a little kinder to Brady.
Now, well, let me explain to you why I'm not, Ricky. Let me explain to you why I'm not. First of all, he says a lot of mean things about me, which is fine. It doesn't bother me one bit. But Ricky, let me ask you a question then. If somebody, called into let's just hypothetically say you have a radio show, and somebody says, I don't know, your daughter is dirty, or says something about your family that is not true. Would you be kind to them, or would you call them a liar and a fool?
Yeah, I agree. It would upset me too. But going down to name calling, it just
What would you call somebody that in everyday life that shares opinions without any facts to back it up? What would you call somebody like that?
You know what? I gotta say, a Democrat.
Okay, well that's okay. Well, that's ridiculous. Okay, because Brady's clearly not a Democrat. Let's just focus on Brady. So you're saying just because you're a Democrat, that means everything you say is false? Is that your opinion?
No. I'm just personally, I'm independent. Okay, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat.
Then why would you make a statement like that?
Because from outside looking in, watching these Pelosi and Adam Schiff, I see as name calling going on with the Democrats. And
okay, but did you actually watch what took place last night? You don't think Cipollone was doing the exact same thing?
Honestly, I didn't bother looking.
Okay, so let me. Okay, fine. Okay, well, let me be fair. Let's be fair then, because I don't think you're being fair. With all due respect, Ricky, it was happening on both sides, and that's why Chief Justice John Roberts told them both to knock it off. So you can't just.
That was great.
Oh, I thought it was great too. But what I don't think is great is you're just attacking one side of the aisle. You have to attack both sides of the aisle and be fair, Ricky.
No, I agree with you, and I think Brady was wrong on his side, and I And I just think that you don't need to get down to that level just because you're a smart guy.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm never going to go down to Brady's IQ level. I think he is an idiot. I think he's a racist. He says sometimes people say racist things on this show all the time.
I'm just saying that name-calling thing. Racist.
So have you called out Donald Trump? Have you called out Donald Trump for doing the exact same thing, only worse? He's the president of the United States, and I'm a radio host. Have you? Would you?
I don't agree with everything Donald Trump is doing, but for one thing, he's doing a lot more than any other president we ever had.
He's doing a lot more than any other president we've ever had. Please explain. Be more specific. What has he done more than any other president we've ever had?
The economic policy, you know.
Which economic policies?
I mean, you know, the.
No, I don't know. Please explain. You just said it, not me. You said he's done more than any other president we've ever done. I'm asking you, please be specific. What has he done? Okay, Ricky, appreciate the call. I'll take the silence as you don't have an answer. If you're going to make a statement like that and say this president, and by the way, we did not hang up on him for the record. I gave him 6 or 7 seconds to answer, and he couldn't answer. If you're going to make a blanket statement like that, you're going to say this president has done more for us than any other president, which, by the way, I completely disagree with, then go ahead. I'll hear you out. In fact, I'll help him out a little bit. It doesn't mean that I agree with him. Economy's doing fairly well, but the people that are benefiting the most are the top 1%. Keep that in mind. Unemployment numbers are down, but if you look at when President Obama started in his presidency and what he took over and where he ended, he dropped the unemployment numbers percentage-wise much lower than Donald Trump. Donald Trump continued that trend, but to say that Donald Trump is the best president we've ever had, to put him ahead of George Washington or Abraham Lincoln, I'm sorry, it is utterly ridiculous. Now, if you want to vote for Donald Trump based on some policies you like, fine, I'll hear you out. If you want to vote for Donald Trump because you feel like you have more money in your pocket, fine, I'll hear you out. But don't tell me he's the best president of all time. Don't tell me he's done any more than any other president. Do you remember Abraham Lincoln? He ended slavery. Give me a break. It's a ridiculous statement. And obviously, we're talking about the impeachment trial, the Senate trial, and we're taking your calls on that as well. And my thoughts on that is, unfortunately, it's very, very partisan. Number to call, 702-257-5396. Again, that number is 257-5396. Let's go to Jimmy. Jimmy, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Mr. Trump has renegotiated some of our trade agreements.
Okay.
Which is a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's made the NATO members, you know, I don't know about all of them, but some of them, like Germany, pay their fair share, which they've been skating on for years and years, and Obama pushed it to do nothing.
Yes. Okay.
And I can't give you every. Oh, he's done that. What's that thing with the crime? Letting, you know, giving the guys a second chance in prison.
I mean, I'm not going to help you out. I mean, you're giving me a laundry list of things you like about him, and I don't have a problem with that. But would you say he's the best president of all time?
What did Obama do? Obama didn't help out.
We're not talking about Barack Obama. We're not talking about Barack Obama. I'm not doing. Okay, well, I'm not. Well, I'm not. Okay, I'll tell you what Obama did. Would you like to know what Obama did?
What did Obama do?
I can name you a laundry list.
$1.8 billion.
Okay, I can name you. Yeah, that was frozen money. Are you unaware that was frozen money?
And then also the biggest sponsor.
No. Don't change the subject. You just brought up the 1 point. Hold on a second. Excuse me. You're the one who brought it up. You're acting like you just took our taxpayer money and gave them one. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Would you like to say go ahead one more time? Pot him down.
Go ahead.
Pot him down. I'm not going to listen to you say go ahead like a Nimrod, okay? That was $1.8 billion of frozen money. It's not like he just took $1.8 billion out of our economy at the taxpayer's expense and said, here you go. So if you're going to say something on this show, go ahead. I find it interesting that you named 2 or 3 positive things that Donald Trump has done, and then all of a sudden, when you can't name any more, you bring up Barack Obama. That is a typical right-wing nut job, Jimmy. So is there anything else you'd like to add before we let you go?
And he's doing a great job with the economy. He's getting everything.
I've already mentioned the economy and unemployment. Do you have anything else you'd like to mention? Any policies that you like? Do you like the fact that he doesn't allow transgenders to serve in the military? Do you like that?
No.
Do you like that? Do you like? I asked you a question. I just asked you.
Partisanship in our government. Okay. Comey, Clapper, Brennan.
Yeah, because you're right, because there's no partisanship now. You're absolutely right. I asked you a question.
Let's talk about the
No, we're going to talk about, I gave you a chance. Now it's my turn. Are you okay with transgenders not serving in the military? Because that was Donald Trump's policy. Are you okay with that?
I think they're a little messed up in their minds.
I think you're, I couldn't find, I guarantee you that you are more screwed up than any transgender I've ever known in my life. Have a nice day, Jimmy. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. That's what people do. If you say negative things about Donald Trump, who do they bring up? Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton. Folks, there's a word for that. It's called whataboutism. I named you some things that he's doing, that things are going good with the economy, but I would say the top 1% are benefiting the most. Clearly, there are too many tax breaks for the rich. He did not drain the swamp like he said he was going to. Build a wall and Mexico is going to pay for it. He did not do that. Mexico is not paying for the wall. Now, if there are some policies that you like, I'll hear you out on that. But if you notice, I didn't cut Jimmy off until he brought up Barack Obama. This isn't a conversation about Barack Obama. Barack Obama was not impeached, and Barack Obama is not facing a Senate trial where Democrats are blocking every witness from testifying. No, Donald Trump is up against that. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Chuck. Chuck, you're next up on the Vegas Take. Go.
Hi, Brian. Appreciate you taking my call.
Sure.
Just a couple of points. The new trade agreement between Canada and Mexico and us is a better deal than NAFTA.
I agree.
And even Bernie went along with that and said, yeah, it's a better deal, but it doesn't give us enough, so I'm not voting for it. The new trade deal, the first phase of China, is definitely a better deal for us. It's a step in the right direction. There's $270 million that's coming back to the farmers.
Chuck, I don't disagree with you. Okay, and I've never said that Trump has done nothing right or nothing good. In fact, I brought up the economy and I brought up the low unemployment numbers. The problem I had, Chuck, with a few callers before you, is that the gentleman said he's the best president we've ever had. I hope you would. That's absurd.
That's a blanket statement. That's just ridiculous.
Okay, well, we agree,
you can't
Chuck.
Compare one man to another centuries of
I think you can.
Past presidents. I mean, that doesn't work.
I think you can. George Washington and Abraham Lincoln are legends, and they are probably the two best presidents we've ever had. I think you can. And I think Donald Trump, to put even in the same sentence as those two, is absurd.
Well, yeah, I agree totally. But, there's been a lot of other good things that President Trump has done.
And I agree. And I'm not one of those people like some of them on MSNBC that say the president has never done anything good. All I seem to say, Chuck, on the show, and I would hope you've heard me say this before, 95% of the reason why I don't like Donald Trump has nothing to do with policy, has nothing to do with politics, has everything to do with the fact that I just think he's a horrible human being. He's a horrible guy who's gone after POWs. He dodged the military himself with his bone spurs. He attacks women based on their looks. He goes after Gold Star families. He goes after immigrants. These people crossing the border, they're bad people, they're rapists, and I suppose some of them are good people. He's just not a good guy, Chuck.
Well, there's a lot of things about the president that I don't appreciate. But, with the Twitters and his rhetoric and everything that he comes back with, the reason he does that is because it's his only outlet back to the mainstream
Chuck,
media.
I understand,
that
Chuck.
has crucified him.
Chuck, I'm going to tell you right now, if he wasn't on Twitter, he'd have an 80% approval rating. I appreciate the call, Chuck, and you sound like a reasonable Republican, and I do appreciate that. 702-257-5396. Andy, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on, Andy?
Hey, Brian. Hey, no, I was just, I'm listening to you and I'm listening to some of these other callers call in and, and I know you like challenging the callers and asking questions and trying to figure out, list a bunch of stuff. And, they get caught up in the moment on the radio and stuff. There's a lot that President Trump has done for this country. You have admitted that he's been successful
in some areas,
economy, on lowering the taxes,
yes,
killing terrorists.
Well, that's another story. That's another story.
But that's a success, and you have to admit that because when people kill Americans and we kill them back,
was Obama okay? I hate to bring up Barack Obama, but you would agree with me killing Osama bin Laden.
Hold on, wait! You can't bring up Barack Obama.
I want to make sure. I want to make sure you're not partisan. Killing Osama bin Laden, that was a success, correct? Under Barack Obama. Okay, good. Okay, so now that we agree on that, listen, Soleimani. Okay.
I'm not an Obama supporter by any means.
Here's my opinion, Andy. Here's my opinion, Andy, on Soleimani, because I would imagine that's one of the people you're bringing up. Soleimani was a horrible human being. He was a terrorist. He's responsible for hundreds, if not thousands, of innocent Americans dying. I don't feel bad for him. I don't feel bad for his family. I also don't appreciate it when we are lied to and said that there was an imminent threat on 4 embassies by the president when our own CIA and our own intelligence tells us that's not the case. Yes, it does matter. You can't lie.
No, it doesn't.
So lying, okay, hold on a second, Andy. So you're telling me lying doesn't matter to you? It's okay for you for the president to lie?
Anything about lying?
The president said, hold on a second.
Hold on.
I got 30 seconds, quickly. I got 30 seconds, go.
Let me just ask you, prove to me that he lied.
Okay, the CIA and our own people within the administration who know more about our intelligence than he does said there was no imminent threat. The president said there were 4 embassies where there was an imminent threat. That is what I call a lie, Andy. That is a lie. Coming up, we'll be talking to Judge James Rogan, former congressman and Clinton impeachment manager. Coming up next, you're listening to The Vegas Take.
Warning. This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. The world is changing. Isn't it time smoking changed too? Vuse Alto is a vapor product offering you a satisfying alternative to cigarettes. Simple to use, surprisingly quiet, and impressively powerful. Our best vapor yet at our best price ever. 99 cents plus tax at participating retailers. 99-cent offer applies to Alto device. Pod sold separately. Underage sale prohibited.
I'm attorney Glenn Lerner. You never saw it coming. In the blink of an eye, a car wreck has left you seriously injured. You made it to the hospital and you received medical care, but your problems have only just begun.
I'm attorney Kevin Rowe. After the wreck, how are you going to get the money you need to get your car fixed, for medical bills, for lost wages? How are you going to provide for your family now? Get the legal help you want when you need it most, right now.
Lerner and Rowe is the way to go. Call 877-1500.
Scott Guido, managing attorney. Kevin Rowe is only licensed in Arizona, New Mexico, Oregon, Washington, and Illinois.
Kilmeade, Hannity, Levin, 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN, Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Or Trump impeachment trial.
The impeachment trial of President Trump begins with a cloud hanging over it, a cloud of unfairness.
Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer is disappointed that not one Republican senator supported allowing votes to include new evidence and witnesses in the trial. Lead House trial manager Adam Schiff moments ago arguing the trial can only be fair if witnesses are called.
The House charged the president. The Senate tries the case. A trial involves witnesses if it is fair. And we laid out exactly why these witnesses are important, what we expect they would have to say. We laid out all the documents that the administration is withholding, and how the senators, if they're doing impartial justice, should want to see those documents.
Now, this morning, defense lawyers let a deadline pass without filing a motion to outright dismiss the articles of impeachment, ensuring that the trial, at least for now, will continue. I'm Mike Moss. President Trump says he wants to deliver the State of the Union as scheduled on February 4th, even if the impeachment trial continues. Before leaving Switzerland, the president suggested that teen climate activist Greta Thunberg should pay more attention to countries other than the United States.
We have to do something about other continents. We have to do something about other countries. When we're clean and beautiful and everything's good, but you have another continent where the fumes are rising at levels that you can't believe. I mean, I think Greta ought to focus on those places.
Unprovoked shark attacks around the world increased last year, although they rose here in the United States. There were 64 confirmed unprovoked shark attacks worldwide last year. The most recent 5-year average is 82. Aerosmith drummer Joey Kramer is suing the band because they won't let him play as they get set to perform Grammy events this week. The Dow was up 40. I'm Mike Moss.
You know that mortgage...
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report, sponsored by the Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer. Slowing I-15 southbound looks like a nice recovery from the rush hour with no significant delays. Slowing 15 northbound, still a pattern from the 215 Beltway up to Flamingo, and a nice recovery on the 95 east side and west side. I see some light eastbound slowing on the 215 Southern Beltway between Buffalo over to Jones Boulevard. A brutal cold and flu season's here. The #1 flu symptom is fever. We can't always predict the flu season, but we can always prepare for it with the Exergen Temporal Scanner, exergen.com. John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Attention, if you're in debt to the IRS and frustrated with your options, for a limited time you can call and quickly check your eligibility for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax problem. Through this special toll-free hotline number, you can find out in minutes if you qualify for these powerful new debt reduction programs green-lighted by the IRS for 2019. If you have unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or just want to know your options, business or personal, Republic Tax Relief's A-plus rated tax relief system has helped thousands stop IRS collections immediately and saved millions in tax debt. These relief programs will not last forever. Call the hotline number now, 800-943-1253. That's 800-943-1253. Check your eligibility for tax debt savings today. Call 800-943-1253. That's 800-943-1253.
Get the rest you deserve with Helix Sleep. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences and give you the best sleep of your life. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off during their New Year sale. Transform your bathroom in just one day with the experts at Reborn Bath Solutions. Reborn Bath Solutions has been serving Las Vegas for over 3 decades, and right now they're offering 50% off all labor and 1 full year with no interest and no payments. You can't beat that. Make your appointment online today at rebornbathsolutions.com, and they'll give you a $50 Bed Bath & Beyond gift card just for considering them. 50% off labor, 1 full year of no interest and no payments, plus a $50 Bed Bath & Beyond gift card. What are you waiting for? Reborn Bath Solutions. They bring the showroom to you with free in-home appointments at your convenience. Visit rebornbathsolutions.com today. That's rebornbathsolutions.com. Take advantage of this amazing offer. 50% off all labor, 1 full year of no interest and no payments, plus a $50 Bed Bath & Beyond gift card. Reborn Bath Solutions, where it's done right and done in a day.
Hey, it's Tommy Chong. Quick question. What's green and awesome and always puts a smile on my face? That's right, money. I know everybody's thinking I was going to say pot, right? Okay, now listen up. If you like money as much as I do, I'm going to be giving some away. Here's the deal. I'm giving away $5,000 of my own money to 5 different people. So that's $1,000 apiece on ifoundtommy.com. Go there and get all the details, but you gotta act fast because I'm handing out money next week. Get all the details and enter to win at ifoundtommy.com.
Get your hands on Tommy's money before time runs out. Go to ifoundtommy.com for details. Thousands of dollars are up for grabs at ifoundtommy.com. Tommy Chong wants to give you his money. Go to ifoundtommy.com for your shot at $1,000. That's ifoundtommy.com.
101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON, the talk of Las Vegas. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us on a Wednesday. We are following the trial proceedings in the Senate in regards to Donald Trump, and pretty soon House managers will be presenting opening arguments. So the gentleman we have with us on the line right now, he is a former congressman, and he was also one of the Clinton impeachment managers in the late 90s, now a judge. Very lucky to have him on the show. That would be Judge James Rogan joining us. Judge, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Brian, I'm fine. Thank you. Delighted to be on with you. I was just telling your producer, Jason, that Vegas is one of my wife's and my favorite cities. We come a couple times a year. We love it. And the irony is she grew up in the church and sang in the choir. We were married for 20 years. I could never talk her into coming to Vegas. She was convinced that it was a city with dirt streets and brothels on every corner. And she finally broke down and came with me. And now she drags me back 2 or 3 times a year. So
you see that, Judge? You need to tell Mike Pence that. You see, Judge, there's a lot of fun things you can do in Vegas. You're right. It's not just strip clubs And I think the misconception from a lot of people, and I'm glad you guys come out here, by the way, is that Vegas is just a party town and that's all there is strippers and gambling. Let me tell you something, man. Where this radio station is, there are a lot of nice neighborhoods here in Vegas, too. I love it here, Judge, so I appreciate that.
The irony of all of this is I paid my way through law school bartending in a female mud wrestling bar, and for about a week I was a bouncer in a porno theater and jobs like that.
Wait, hold on a second.
I don't even drink and gamble, and all my judge buddies who drink and gamble, they just cannot understand what possibly do you and your wife do.
Wait, hold on, Judge.
If you're not drinking and gambling.
Judge, hold on a second.
They just don't understand. So if I run into my old friend Mike Pence, whom I haven't seen in 20 years, but I knew him back when he was a talk radio host, I'll tell him that.
Wait, hold on a second, Judge. You said you were a bouncer in a porn theater?
Well, it was only about a week or so. I don't want to make you think it was a lifestyle. Yeah, I was.
Was Pee Wee Herman? Did you ever?
My mother was a convicted felon. I was
oh my
the
gosh.
illegitimate son of a convicted felon mom. I got expelled from high school in the 10th grade, and I worked my way through college and law school, bartending all over Hollywood and on the Sunset Strip. And
wow, that's incredible.
Wrestling bar, female hot oil wrestling bar.
Well, I'm going to tell you something.
In my first book, Rough Edges, just what you expect to hear from a conservative Christian member of Congress.
Let me tell you something. You've already turned into my favorite judge. Okay, let's just start there. But okay.
Well, I hope you feel that way if you ever have to stand in front of me for something.
Well, hopefully that'll never happen. But you never know with me. I get into trouble sometimes. But Judge, I appreciate you coming on. And the fact that you're a former congressman and you were in the Clinton impeachment, you were in Clinton impeachment manager in the late 90s. I have to ask you this. I know there's certain things you can't talk about, but when you first heard that Donald Trump was going through this stuff and there was going to be this trial, I would imagine thoughts went through your head about what happened in the late 90s. Can you tell us what went through your head when you heard about this?
I really don't remember if there was anything profound that went through my head. I do know that having gone through a presidential impeachment, and when we did it 21 years ago, it's the first time in 135 years that it had happened. There was nobody alive, obviously, on the planet who had ever seen one of these. But I was hopeful and probably expecting that I'd never see another one of these in my life again. So, for better or for worse, here we are. And it's the stuff of history, whether you love or you hate the president.
Let's go back to the late 90s for a second. And, full disclosure, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. I thought Bill Clinton was a decent president. I don't agree with what he did. He lied. We agree on that. And what he did was improper and an embarrassment to the country. And I have no... You think it's fair, and I'll just speak in the impeachment of Bill Clinton. Don't you think it's fair for the other side that is not defending the president, clearly you were not, Republicans were not, don't you think it's fair to get all the information possible, subpoena witnesses, if it is necessary to help your case? I would imagine you wanted all the information you could back in the late 90s, correct?
Well, let me try to answer your question. And again, I have to walk a very careful line.
I understand.
Because as a sitting judge, I am precluded by the canons of ethics from discussing anything related to the current situation.
Understood, yep.
But if you go back and you look at the arguments that we were having with the Senate as the House managers, some of them may sound familiar, but the familiarity ends there because it was a totally different context. In our case at the House Judiciary Committee, we had a special prosecutor report who delivered 50,000 pages of documents and exhibits and identified 11 separate felonies, identifiable felonies that President Clinton had committed during our committee hearings. We gave the Democrats subpoena power. They brought in their own witnesses. We allowed the president's attorney there to cross-examine Ken Starr.
Which I appreciate.
On the stand that day for like 17 hours.
Right, I appreciate
we started
that.
in the morning and we went into like 1 o'clock the next morning.
Right.
Now, when we got to the Senate, I was very naive, and even though I had been a former gang murder prosecutor in L.A., and at the time I was a former judge, too, because I'd been a judge beforehand. And I was under the impression, as were all the House managers, we were actually going to be able to try the case. And I fought like hell with the senators who did not want us to call any witnesses. They wouldn't let us call any witnesses. But it was a different political dynamic. The Senate was run by Republicans at the time. But Trent Lott, the Republican leader of the Senate, came and told me and told our committee investigator, it's in my book, Catching Our Flag, and it's in Dave Schipper's book, sellouts. Lott told us, hey, listen, this is politically unpopular. You guys impeached him when the polls didn't want you to do it, so you've jumped off a cliff. You need to all make this go away and don't bring this over to us, because if you do, we're going to, I'm not quoting him exactly, but the message was, we're going to move heaven and earth to tube your case. And you guys are going to be the goats.
But as a judge,
you're going to be the goats, we'll be the heroes.
But Judge,
remember, he told me, we don't care if you have pictures of Bill Clinton standing over a dead woman with a smoking gun in his hand. The polls didn't want him impeached, and we're going to make it go away.
Can I ask you about that,
Judge? We had a different dynamic. We had a hostile Senate who just didn't want to handle it politically, and when we brought it to them, they moved in a bipartisan fashion to kill our case.
Judge, I have to ask you about that. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Judge James Rogan, former Congressman, Clinton impeachment manager in the late 90s. As a judge, and even I'm not a judge, I have a problem with that. I have a problem with looking at polls and letting that affect how you conduct yourself in a trial. I don't think polls should have anything to do, and I mean anything to do, with decision making and trying to figure out whether the president committed a crime or not and whether he should be gone. What is your take on that? Because that's my opinion. Who cares what the polls say? It shouldn't be about politics. It should be all about, did the president commit a crime? Yes or no?
I can't help but smile, Brian, as I hear you say that, because of the 13 House managers in the Clinton impeachment trial, I was the only one at risk over this. I represented a heavily Democratic district as a Republican. I had most of the Hollywood movie studios in my district.
Wow.
And just before impeachment, Bill Clinton had a 75% approval rating in my district. And my guys took a poll just before I voted to impeach him that said, if you vote to impeach him, 75% of the voters in this area will never vote for you again. So I knew that my neck was on the chopping block, so I kind of gave it the office on that issue. I went home and I told my district for the next year and a half, I kept telling them, listen, don't be hypocrites. You people and everybody in America always says in a poll, you want your congressman to do the right thing, even if it's not popular. And if that's really true, then you need to take a look at the fact that I did what was right. I did what was constitutional. The president committed identifiable felonies. We held him to account for it. And I somewhat persuaded my district. At the next election, only 60% of them never voted for me again. So they threw me out of office. And I can't complain about that, because I knew that was the cost of doing business. In fact, if you ever YouTube my closing argument to the Senate, I made that point. I told the senators that basically, hey, look, I wanted to do this job since I was in fourth grade. I've been here one term, and because I have taken this position, I won't be coming back. This is going to cost me my job. I'm here on a principle, and a principle is that when a president commits felonies, it ought to be a one-way ticket to the eviction line at the White House.
Well, Judge, it sounds like it took courage to do what you did. I think we need more politicians in Washington today that have that kind of courage. Now, you said it yourself. I'm going to use your words. Do the right thing. Do what is right. Now, I know there's a fine line that you can't talk about today, so I'm going to ask you this question in very general terms.
You can ask me any question you want, Brian, and I give people bad news and tell them no for a living, so you don't have to worry about hurting my feelings.
Well, I don't want to hurt your feelings, and I don't want to put you in a peculiar spot, so I'll ask the question like this. Do you feel like many Republicans today are more concerned about staying in office and appeasing certain people in office rather than what you just said, which is doing the right thing?
I can't answer the question about people in office today for two reasons. I think that would cross a line. And second, I've been out of it for 20 years, so the changeover has been so dramatic in the House and in the Senate. I mean, a lot of the old timers were there when I was there, but I really can't generalize in that area.
So let me ask you.
I will tell you though, my experience. We politicians are, when I was in Congress, and I wasn't immune to this, we are hardwired to get reelected. I mean, most of us don't want to jump off a cliff once we get to Congress. And I certainly was not anxious to do it. My problem was I was a former prosecutor and a former judge. And when I saw clear evidence, uncontrovertible evidence of President Clinton committing felonies, which he, by the way, most people forget this, on his last day in office, do you remember what he did? He admitted it, and he signed a plea bargain to avoid being indicted and prosecuted.
I remember.
On his first day as a private citizen. Nobody remembers that.
Yeah.
So it was clear evidence of felonies. The president even admitted it on his last day in office to avoid being prosecuted. I felt I had a job to do. I've never snibbled about losing re-election. I knew the cost of doing business. I knew I was going to anger my base. And by the way, when you're a congressman, if you anger your base, if you're no longer representing them, you should expect that if you're not representing their views or their whims, you should expect that they're going to remember that at the next election. But the one thing that gave me some comfort during all of that is, and I used to quote it often, and pardon me if I butcher it, but Edmund Burke, a great member of Parliament back in the 1700s, wrote a letter to his Bristol constituents, and he basically answered that question. Well, if you're our representative, shouldn't we do what the polls tell you to do? He answered that question 250 years ago. He said, your representative doesn't just owe you his vote. He owes you his judgment, and he betrays you rather than serves you if he sacrifices one for the other. And I think that that's a good thing for everybody in politics who serve in a representative capacity to remember. You know, you're not just there to cast a vote. You are there to do the job. And as I used to tell my constituents, I know that you didn't want President Clinton impeached, and I know you didn't like me for impeaching him, but understand something. We had 700,000 people in this district, and only one of them has gone through all the FBI reports and all the documents and all the evidence. And my judgment is that based upon that, the president needs to be removed from office. And can I leave you with one other thing, Brian?
Sure.
Because, you know, most people think, oh, he got impeached for lying about sex and so forth. That's not true. That really is, that's false memory.
He lied.
The president was ordered to testify in a federal civil rights action.
Right.
And he lied under oath, and then he moved heaven and earth to try to hide evidence and obstruct justice to hide his perjury. And so the reason I voted to impeach him is because, you know, the Constitution says, and you're hearing this phrase a lot now, that a president can be impeached for treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. But the framers never identified high crimes and misdemeanors. So guess where the definition comes from?
Where's that?
It comes from all the precedents of the previous impeachments. And by the time we had Clinton's, there had been about 16 or 17 of them.
I see.
Had I voted to save my skin and say that perjury and obstruction of justice were not impeachable offenses, that would have set a standard for every future president. They could commit those offenses, and they could rightfully say, hey, look, that's already been decided. It may be awful. Maybe you can prosecute me later, but you can't remove me from office. And I used to tell my Democrats in my district, you know, go ahead and be mad at me, but understand that we set a standard that tells every future president of the United States, if you commit perjury or obstruct justice, and you do it in an area or in a subject matter far more dangerous or offensive than what you saw in the Clinton case, you can thank us for setting that standard that it's a removable offense.
Well, it is the reason why.
Didn't convince anybody.
Sure.
By the way, trivia question. In 2000, I lost to whom?
Oh, boy, I couldn't tell you.
Let me tell you. Adam Schiff.
Did you really? But you know what? I bet you wouldn't call him Shifty Schiff. I think you would have more respect for him than that. That's just my opinion.
Adam and I ran against each other 3 different times. I beat him twice for the state assembly. He finally beat me in my third term for Congress after impeachment. I always like to remind Adam I'm still up on him 2-1, but he reminds me, yes, that one really counted, didn't it?
You know, listen, if people bring up your name, you're a respected guy. I think you did the right thing many years ago. And I know you haven't been in politics for a little while, but you chose, you know, what's best for the country and the law over whether you get reelected or not. And you didn't worry about that. And that's why I have a tremendous amount of respect for you, Judge.
Brian, I sure could have used your voting in my district back in 2000. One other trivia question.
Sure. Go for it.
It's not really a trivia question. It's a fact that no reporter, I think, has picked up on. So I took the place of Carlos Moorhead in the old 27th Congressional District in California. Carlos Moorhead, in his freshman term, was on the Judiciary Committee for the Nixon impeachment article.
Oh, my goodness.
So the 3 consecutive congressmen from the old 27th District We're on the Nixon impeachment, the Clinton impeachment, and now the Trump impeachment.
How about
there must
that?
be something in the water.
That is incredible. Well, let me just say, I hope I never meet you in the courtroom, sir. But if you're ever in Vegas with your wife, please give our producer a call. We'd love to have you in studio, okay?
You know what? Probably look for us in July. How's that?
Great. I would love to have you in studio, Judge. Thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate it.
Brian.
Thank you.
JD, I hope he gets rid of the mold problem in his house.
I'll make sure to let him know. Look forward to meeting you, Judge. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Brian.
Appreciate it. There you go. Wow, that guy's a funny guy. He's got a lot of charisma. I like him. That's former Congressman and Clinton impeachment manager, Judge James Rogan, who at once was a security guard in a porn theater. I was going to ask him if he ever met Pee Wee Herman in his theater. But anyway, that guy's a trip, man. I like that guy. That guy's got a personality. Why can't we have Republicans like Judge James Rogan? That guy's a cool dude, okay? A Republican that goes on the air that's a judge who has no problem admitting he loves to party in Las Vegas and he used to be a security guard in a porn theater. That is a Republican that I could easily vote for. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the words of Hillary Clinton that not only are going to hurt Bernie Sanders, but could hurt Hillary Clinton's future if she ever decides to run again. We'll tell you exactly what she said coming up next. You're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is John Greenhut, the CEO of Power Swabs. And if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
My son is a handsome young man, like a movie star. There's no limit to what he can do. I don't know why he would ruin himself with alcohol. When I think about the happy boy he used to be and how sad his life is now, it breaks my heart. I love him as much as I ever did, maybe more, but I don't understand why this is happening. My therapist recommended I go to Al-Anon family groups. He said Al-Anon members have lived through the same kinds of things that are happening to my family. I didn't want to go to Al-Anon, and I didn't want anyone to know how difficult it's been. But I'm glad I went. Is someone's drinking breaking your heart? You might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-AL-ANON or go to alanon.org.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Glad you could join us on a Wednesday. And by the way, coming up here in hour number 3, Michael Avenatti is in court this morning. Remember, he's also behind bars, but he has a court appearance this morning. I believe it's the Nike trial. And Emily Saul works for the New York Post, and she is in the courtroom right now covering this case. We are going to get a live report from her coming up in hour number 3, and she's been covering the conditions that Michael Avenatti are in, similar to El Chapo. He is being treated like a terrorist. They might as well send him to, well, Guantanamo Bay back in the day. That's the way Michael Avenatti is being treated, but we'll talk to her about that, and we'll get to that coming up in hour number 3. Also, a huge brawl out that went into the stands in a handicap section at the Kansas basketball game. Nutty story. We'll talk about that coming up as well. A lot of repercussions, and a lot of players are not going to be playing college basketball for the rest of the year. We'll get to that in hour number 3 as well. But, you know, we're obviously talking about day number 2 of this impeachment trial, and Adam Schiff right now is presenting the evidence put forth to try to convict Donald Trump. And I'll speak in layman terms here real quickly. I think for the most part, people understand where I stand on this issue. But we have more political divide right now in my personal opinion, than we've had in my lifetime. I'm almost 40 years old. I'm getting old. But we are so divided as a country now. It is unbelievable. And listen, you could go back to Barack Obama. And listen, I have a lot of respect for Barack Obama. I didn't vote for him, but I have a lot more respect for him than I do for Donald Trump for a number of different reasons that would take hours for me to try to explain. But what I can tell you is this. Donald Trump has something to hide. Donald Trump's attorneys have something to hide. All that Democrats want to do is to bring witnesses forward that can hopefully shed some light, that could either exonerate the president or convict him. The Democrats are trying to subpoena records from the White House, paperwork, emails, text messages. Why? Because in any trial, in any case, good attorneys will try to get as much information as possible if they believe that the person they are trying to convict broke the law. That's all that Democrats are doing. Now, yes, I understand. It's partisan politics. Many of the Democrats want Trump out of office for a lot of different reasons. A lot of the Democrats dislike the president. Sure, that's all true. That's all said nice. But it has nothing to do with the facts. So when Adam Schiff says, I want John Bolton to testify, and then the Republicans say, well, then we got to get Hunter Biden. Let me explain to you why that is completely ridiculous, although I still think the Democrats should do it, just to get Bolton on the stand. Whether Hunter Biden or Joe Biden committed a crime or not has nothing to do with this trial. Literally nothing. What this has everything to do with was if Donald Trump withheld aid to the Ukraine for his own personal gain, is it abuse of power? Did he commit a crime? If you want to open up a separate investigation into the Bidens, even though there has been an investigation, fine, go ahead and try to do that. But Hunter Biden is going to have no information that is going to exonerate or prosecute Donald Trump. Literally none. Same thing with Joe Biden. So the only reason why Republicans are saying that they want Hunter Biden, if you get Bolton, is to smear the Bidens. Make no mistake about it. That is the only reason, because it's not the Bidens that are up on trial. It's not the Bidens that are being investigated. It's not the Bidens that could be, Joe Biden's not going to be impeached. Okay? Donald Trump has been impeached. And that is what the Democrats are trying to do. And while I don't always agree with the Democrats and I don't always agree with how they handle things, they are absolutely 100% right in this specific situation. We'll take your phone calls when we come back. 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be part of the program, 257-5396. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take.
Trump impeachment trial. Lead House trial manager Adam Schiff has accused the president of using Ukraine to try to smear the reputation of political rival Joe Biden to help Trump win re-election.
To him, the value in promoting a negative tale about former Vice President Biden, true or false, was its usefulness to his re-election campaign. It was a smear tactic against a political opponent that President Trump apparently feared.
Trump was asked today whether former National Security Advisor John Bolton should be called to testify.
He knows some of my thoughts. He knows what I think about leaders. What happens if he reveals what I think about a certain leader and it's not very positive, and then I have to deal on behalf of the country? It's going to be very hard. It's going to make the job very hard.
South Carolina Attorney General Wilson is leading a group calling on the Senate to acquit the president of both of the articles of impeachment. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Lowe's, a crash on the 215 Beltway westbound at Warm Springs. Also an accident on Dean Martin northbound at Cactus, blocking two left lanes, merge way right to get around, and also a crash on Sahara eastbound approaching Las Vegas Boulevard. An earlier accident at Rancho at Charleston, still a factor but near the clearing stage. Pros do it right by shopping at Lowe's to save on the supplies they need most from the brands they trust to get the job done. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. I'm John Michaels from the K-Don Traffic Center.
You know, Tempur-Pedic mattresses are the best on the planet. Hi, I'm Dave Mizrahi, owner of Best Mattress, your Tempur-Pedic Elite retailer. To be a Tempur-Pedic Elite retailer, you have to have the best selection, the highest customer satisfaction, and the most rigorous employee training. And buddy, we got them all. Experience what Elite is all about and get 72 months no-interest financing, free delivery, and a $300 gift with the purchase of any Tempur-Pedic mattress. Best Mattress. Sleep easy, friends. See store for details.
It's
It's a new year, so why not work on you? Make a New Year's resolution that includes a beautiful and improved smile. AQ Dental Services has the experience and on-site lab to help make your smile reflect a new and improved you. AQ Dental has an on-site tooth designer, 3D scanner, and can craft the smile of your dreams. Make an appointment today at 702-565-6000. If you have a problem with your teeth and you don't know what to do, pick up the phone and call AQ. 702-565-6000. 702-565-6000. Or visit aqdentureservice.com.
When you're diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, a lot of questions run through your mind. What am I going to do? What are my options? What did I do wrong? We've had those thoughts too, but some questions can help you move forward.
Visit findyourmbcvoice.com for an interactive guide to help you learn the next steps to take after an MBC diagnosis.
And how to ask the questions that lead to an open and informed conversation with your doctor. Start finding your voice today
at findyourmbcvoice.com.
Every year, tens of thousands of youth experience homelessness.
I didn't know how they were going to react. I just told my mom that I was gay.
1 in 4 LGBT youth who come out to their parents is told to leave home.
She wanted to go and talk to my dad about this. He started reproaching me, telling me that he didn't raise someone gay. I started going to my grandma's house to sleep over. She kicked me out too.
Runaway and homeless youth are often victims of commercial sexual exploitation.
I was in the drugs and prostitution for 5 years.
1-800-RUNAWAY provides 24-hour access to a nationwide network of housing and support services for homeless and runaway youth.
I just felt so rejected. I felt like a failure.
If you or someone you know needs help, 1-800-RUNAWAY can provide support and connect you to the right resources. You can also text 66008 or go to 1-800-RUNAWAY.org. We can end youth homelessness.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 1015 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us on a Wednesday. We're going to get an update on the Michael Avenatti situation. He's in court this morning. We're going to get a live report from the courtroom. New York Post's very own Emily Saul, who's been covering this story, will be joining us coming up in hour number 3. Did you hear this story, by the way? Tulsi Gabbard is suing Hillary Clinton for defamation. And it goes back to comments where Hillary Clinton said she was a favorite of the Russians on a podcast. Let me tell you something. The Democratic Party should sue Tulsi Gabbard for being a Republican. Oh, I'm sorry. Will Tulsi sue me for saying that? Just go away, Tulsi. You had no chance to run for president. You are a nitwit. You are a moron. Yes, I understand you are a war hero, but you proved to be a complete moron on that stage. And now you're suing Hillary Clinton so you could remain in the news. Why don't you just become a Republican and go away? And by the way, that would not shock me if she did that. Who shows up and votes that she is there but doesn't vote to impeach her not? Who does that? And people are saying she's got courage for doing that? Are you kidding me? Tulsi Gabbard is a phony. That's exactly what she is. She is not a Democrat. She should have never been on that stage. She is a Republican, and she is an apologist for a war criminal in Assad. Do you remember when she wouldn't call Assad a war criminal? Is that the kind of person you want representing you? How the hell do these nitwits, how do they get into politics in the first place, and how do people vote for them? Is that, even Donald Trump wouldn't even go there. Assad is a war criminal, and it took Gabbard months to admit that because she is a nitwit. That's why. So good luck with that lawsuit over Hillary Clinton. Really, good luck. Speaking of Hillary Clinton, she did say some pretty dumb things the other day in regards to Bernie Sanders, but I don't think Bernie Sanders is going to sue her. She did say that nobody likes Bernie. Dumb thing to say because there are a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters there on the Democratic side. You can't say stuff like that. It's kind of like when she called Trump supporters deplorables. I think I understand what she was trying to say, but you can't say stuff like that. Hillary Clinton was wrong. She was wrong back then, and she's wrong now. You cannot say stuff like that. You just can't. And even if Hillary Clinton said some things that were untrue, even if Hillary Clinton said that, Gabbard was a Russian asset, do you know how many lies politicians say about other politicians on a regular basis? I don't think you could sue somebody for that. Tulsi Gabbard is a public figure. She is a celebrity. Can you sue Donald Trump? He said, Barack Obama was not born in this country for 5 years. I didn't see Obama suing Donald Trump. We'll take your phone calls on that. We're also talking about the impeachment day 2 trial in the Senate right now. And right now, as we speak, Adam Schiff is making his opening arguments in the case to try and remove Donald Trump. High crimes and misdemeanors, but it ain't going to happen unless certain witnesses testify. I can tell you that right now. Let Hunter Biden testify. My opinion on this whole thing is very simple. If Republicans will allow John Bolton to testify, go ahead, let Hunter Biden testify. Let Joe Biden testify. Let the whistleblower testify. If anything, it will help the Democrats. It will not hurt them. That's what I say. It makes the Republicans look stupid to bring up witnesses like that. Let them do it. I think the Democrats are making a very big mistake by not making that agreement with Republicans. Let Republicans call whoever they want to call. Who cares? They could call Anthony Weiner for all I care and ask him how many women he's talking to online. I don't care. Because if it allows Democrats to bring up the right witnesses, that's all that I care about. That's all that matters. Because we want to know the truth. Number to call, 702-257-5396. Again, if you want to be a part of the program, that number, 257-5396. Let's start off with Al. Al, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, man?
How's it going this morning?
Good, Al.
I'm not sure what happened to JD, but hopefully everything's okay.
Apparently,
I didn't get why he wasn't around today.
Yeah, well, that's a very valid question, and I'm glad you brought that up. He's got some issues in his house, actually. He's got Stein, why don't you come in here real quickly and explain to me what is going on with my co-host, Jason Dick. Hang on the line, Al. Okay, hang on the line.
Thanks, sir.
You are going to get...
I'm interested to hear.
Yeah, well, I'm sure a lot of people are, Al. I'm glad you brought it up. So our producer, Jason Stein, is now joining us in studio. He has learned the reasons why my co-host, JD, is not here. Stein, give us an update. What is going on? Al would like to know.
His wife kicked him out, and he's finally a free man.
That's not true.
And he's living in a motel.
That's not true. What's the real reason?
So, Jason, I honestly can't keep up with it, but here's the gist of it, okay? Jason's, he rents a house.
JD, you keep calling him Jason.
Well, I'm
JD.
Jason. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
You're Jason.
Yeah. JD he rents this house, very nice house, and he's had one issue after another. And the first thing that happened was he had some kind of gas leak or carbon monoxide leak.
Well, he does have gas. He does have gas issues.
He does definitely have gas issues. No, the first thing was a carbon monoxide leak that was coming out of the fireplace. Now, you remember you and I went there when we spent like 7 hours there watching football,
Yes, I remember.
right in front of the fireplace where the leak was, and we all got sick and nauseous and we didn't know why.
Yes.
So they had someone come in that realized that there was some kind of carbon issue.
This is way too long of an explanation.
No, it's good. It's good. And then that turned into some kind of gas issue. So then he had to get out of his house. And now the latest thing is he's apparently has black mold in his house. So it's one thing after another. So he is actually looking for a good lawyer. If there's anyone out there in the audience that would like to talk about this case with him,
well, we'll give Mike Love an audio call.
He's I think he might have a lawsuit on his hands.
All right.
But anyway, that's the.
Thank you for the explanation.
Yeah. That's
Poor guy. He does have gas issues. There's no question. There you go, Al. You just got it firsthand.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. The one thing I wanted to remark on is that and I get your point about just let the Republicans have whoever they want.
Yeah.
And let's just get to the witnesses that they really want.
Yeah.
The only real issue I see with that is, and I think you'll agree with me, is if you get Hunter Biden, they're going to smear him and Joe Biden.
They will.
In any way they can.
Mm-hmm.
But then what will happen is you'll get the other people on the Republican side that the Democrats want, and they're going to exert executive privilege,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not going to still get to the bottom of the truth.
I don't know if
you damage. It just becomes worse.
Well, listen, Al, make no mistake about it. I understand what you're saying. The problem is they're not going to get Bolton to testify, or Mulvaney, or Parnas. They're not going to testify unless the Republicans get what they want, which is, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden. And yes, you're right. They will smear the Bidens, but I think we will be closer to the truth. I'm not saying 100% we're going to get to the truth, but we will certainly.
I agree with you. But I think that because they are directly there were cabinet members and had direct contact with the president if he exerts executive privilege.
That will probably happen.
He claims he doesn't.
Yeah, you're probably right.
He did.
I know. Isn't it funny, Al?
It's going to be a completely one-sided experiment.
Isn't it funny, Al? This morning, Al, when the president says, "Oh, I would love to have Mike Pompeo testify. I'd love to have Mick Mulvaney testify." He's a liar. Of course, he doesn't want that to happen.
He absolutely doesn't.
Yeah.
And I do listen. I'll tell you. I'm not by any means, and I call on a fairly regular basis. I listen to you guys just about every day.
Thank you for that.
I am not a one of these staunch Republicans that just believes that Trump's this great thing, because he's not.
Well, I could have told that I could have told that the first minute of this phone call that you were not one of those people, and that's why you're still on the line.
I'm not a fan of the way he behaves himself and
Right.
some of the things he does and some of his antics.
Right.
Some policy, yes, absolutely.
I understand.
And you've already gone over all that.
Yep.
I just think that a lot of presidents have done a lot of things probably similar to this, if not worse, and that he's been scrutinized much, much more than others have.
Perhaps.
And I do think we need to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah,
I think
perhaps.
we deserve to know.
Al, I appreciate, again, you're one of those people that I call a reasonable Republican. You sound like a reasonable guy, and I appreciate you listening. Thank you for calling in. Thank you. I don't necessarily agree with one of the things you said, which is that every president does what he has done. Yes, I do think that there's a lot of corruption in Washington. Yes, I do think that most politicians are corrupt. You're probably right. There have been probably a lot of presidents that have done some evil things. But the difference between Trump and many of these other presidents is that he's got the thinnest skin and he's the most insecure a-hole of any president we've ever had. And I think that gives people a reason, whether it be the media or people on the left, to go after him. I think that's the difference. It's a personality trait. He is the most insecure president in the history of presidents. I think it's fair to say that. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, that number, 257-5396. If you'd like to call into the program, we're talking a little bit about Tulsi Gabbard suing Hillary Clinton. Also, of course, talking about this trial, day number 2. Your thoughts on that? Let's get to Brian. Brian, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on? Brian, are you there?
Hey, is this me?
You're Brian, aren't you? Yeah, go ahead, sir.
No, I'm Brent. He asked me if I was Brian.
Brent. Okay, well, it must be our producer who doesn't has a hearing problem. I apologize. Go ahead.
It's all good, Brian. I love your show.
Thanks, man.
The reason I love your show is because I'm not simple enough to call myself a Democrat or a Republican. I'm kind of a common sense dude.
Well, you know what? Then you and I can grab a beer together then, because I could get along with somebody like you.
For sure. But I served in the military for 23 years.
Thank you for your service, sir. Thank you.
It's our pleasure. But what you just said about Tulsi Gabbard it kind of stabbed me in the heart. I believe, honestly, that Tulsi is the Democrats' only chance. Honestly, I believe that.
You think? Really? Well, let me say, Brent, I want to hear you out. Let me just say this. I did call her some names because I think it's childish what she's doing in suing Hillary Clinton, but I have said this about Tulsi Gabbard. I haven't said it today. I'll say it now. She is a hero because she served this country honorably, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for her because of that. But I think it is fair to still criticize someone just because she served doesn't mean you can't criticize. You know what I mean? Now, here's something I would never say about Tulsi Gabbard if she was a prisoner of war. I would never say, I don't respect her because she was captured. Now, I'm going to go after Tulsi for the things she says on a stage, but I'm not going to go after her the way Donald Trump went after John McCain. I hope you see the distinction there.
Yeah, I think that what Trump said about McCain is complete BS. Complete BS.
I appreciate that. Go ahead, Brent. Sorry to interrupt.
Look back on your transcripts from today. You called Tulsi an idiot, a moron,
I do.
and a dimwit.
Yep, I believe that. I think she's an idiot. And I do. Yep, I do.
You called my sister an armstat.
Well, like I said, you can still serve and still be an idiot, can you not? I mean, there are people that are heroes that served our country honorably that are also in jail right now, are they not? You can be a criminal and serve this country. You can be not very intelligent, yet still be a hero and serve this country, can you not?
Well, you step down to Donald Trump's level. is what you did today.
No, because I just gave you an example of how I wouldn't. If she was a prisoner, I'm not going after her service. There's a big distinction there. Donald Trump went after John McCain's service to this country because he was a prisoner of war. I would never do that to Tulsi Gabbard. In fact, I said the opposite just now. I'm going after Tulsi.
You called her a dimwit and a moron.
Which has nothing to do with her service. Okay, let me ask you a question then. Let me ask you a question. If you're a celebrity or a public figure or a politician, and one of your political rivals calls you a name or says, you care more about Russians than, I don't know, than America or something like that, would you immediately file a lawsuit against them? Don't you think that's petty?
It's petty if you or me. But when you're on the stage and you get shut out like Bernie and you get destroyed by Hillary.
She had She didn't even have 2% of the vote, though, Brent, with all due respect. How can you say she gave Democrats the best chance when she didn't even have 2% of the vote? That's why she's not on the stage.
It's because people are thrust to the front. I didn't even vote in the 2016 election because Hillary, of all godforsaken people, and Trump were both thrust to the front.
Brent, we agree. I didn't vote for Hillary either. We agree.
Yeah.
Listen, Brent, let me just say this in closing, okay? And by the way, I do appreciate the phone call. I say this to every veteran, and I would say this to Tulsi Gabbard if I met her. I wouldn't start off a conversation by saying, hey, Tulsi, I think you're an idiot. I think you're a moron. No, I would start off a conversation. Hopefully she would shake my hand, and I would say, thank you for your service to this country. It is appreciated. With that being said, I would say I am embarrassed by the fact that you are filing a lawsuit against Hillary Clinton. I am embarrassed by the fact that, and by the way, I didn't even bring this up with you. I am embarrassed by the fact that you couldn't even call out Assad for being a war criminal. Again, I should have asked you this question, but I'll pose it to any of our listeners right now. What would you call somebody that is a politician that refuses to call Assad a war criminal, a man who is responsible for killing thousands of his own people? What would you call somebody like that? You think it's wrong calling somebody a moron? That's almost like a politician saying Osama bin Laden wasn't a bad guy. I mean, really, it's to that point. Assad is that bad. What would you say to someone that would say Soleimani was not a bad guy? What would you call somebody like that? Guess what? I'd call somebody like that an idiot. Tulsi Gabbard did that. That's what she did. Make no mistake about it. She refused to call Assad a war criminal until she took a lot of flack for it and realized she made a big boo-boo. That's the way Tulsi Gabbard thinks. And yes, that is an idiot. You can serve this country honorably, and we can thank you for your service, and you can also be an idiot. Not being able to call out a war criminal for what he is dangerous to this country, and I am glad that Tulsi Gabbard didn't have a chance to become the president, because I'm going to tell you, believe it or not, I'd rather vote for Donald Trump than than Tulsi Gabbard. I don't think Assad is running for president in this country, last I checked. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. I am not going after her service in any way. In fact, she is a hero. She served this country honorably, and how can you compare that to me calling her an idiot for not calling out Assad for being a war criminal? Donald Trump went after John McCain, not over policy. He went after John McCain, in his own words, because he was captured at war. He was a prisoner of war. Do you see the distinction, folks? Oh, yeah, and by the way, this is the same guy who dodged the military because he had alleged bone spurs, and we've learned from that doctor's family that it was a lie. Donald Trump dodged the military, and he goes after the war, the service, and the POW, the torture that John McCain had to go through, because he is an a-hole. That's why. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Marge. Marge, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hi. I'm wondering if JD had a disclosure form on that black mold.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah. You covered a lot of bases this morning. As far as, that lawsuit by Tulsi Gabbard, I mean, if that holds, then there's room for having a whole line of people that are going to sue Trump once he gets out of office, or what he's been saying about them, too,
Yeah, you're right.
And I did hear an interview this morning with, Trump about Bolton, and he was very nice words about Bolton. I think he may be scared that they may finally say, yeah, we're going to allow witnesses, and Bolton would probably be one of the first up.
Yeah, why do you think he's kissing his ass? By the way,
Exactly.
he let him go, and now he's afraid if he testifies, he's going to spill the beans. By the way, Bolton's going to write a book. I guarantee you we're going to learn the truth in that book. I really feel that way.
Yeah, it's going to be a bestseller the minute it comes out.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait. And guess what? When Bolton writes a book and he says that there was a quid pro quo and he says that President Trump told me to withhold aid and I advised him not to because I believe that's exactly what happened, Republicans are all going to have egg on their face and they're going to have to answer to that and they're going to be a part of history. Mitch McConnell, all these people, Lindsey Graham, they're going to be remembered in history as idiots that didn't do the right thing. You know, Marge, we just had Judge James Rogan on. I don't know if you heard that segment. The former congressman, Clinton impeachment manager, he said it best, do the right thing. And while he couldn't really talk specifically about Trump, he said he needed to do the right thing even though he knew it was unpopular, and the Republicans today failed to do that.
And you have to live with your conscience once you're finished with all of that too. You've got to look yourself in the face.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to do that every day. Trust me, it's not easy.
And it's it's your own credibility. And plus later on, how are people going to trust you? You know, you're going to be in a position of some type of power or whatever else, and you've done this and all comes out.
Yeah.
I mean, your credibility just goes down the drain, basically.
Yeah, Marge, I couldn't agree with you more. Always good to hear from you. Thank you for the phone call, Marge. We appreciate it. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Bob. Bob, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey guys, how you doing today?
What's up, Bob? Good. What's on your mind?
I just had a question.
Sure.
Have you guys heard from Michael Avenatti lately?
We are going to do a segment about Michael Avenatti in hour number 3. In fact, we have Emily Saul from the New York Post, who is actually in the courtroom right now covering the case. So if you're listening and you're continuing to listen, we're going to have her on at around 11:30 to give us an update on that. Okay.
Okay, I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Bob. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Paul. Paul, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, Brian. Hey, I was just wondering, you would call me a Trump supporter,
which is fine.
I'm a supporter of the United States.
Okay, they're both
I don't
fine.
like everything he's done. I don't hate it all and all that other kind of stuff.
Understood.
The only reason I don't like the impeachment is because it's just another thing that's torn our country apart. And I don't think anything he did was so incredibly severe.
Okay, we don't know that, though. Can I ask you a question, Paul?
I said I don't think.
Okay. No, I hear you.
don't know that for a fact.
I hear you, Paul. You're entitled to that opinion. Can I just ask you a quick question,
Sure.
if I may? Thank you.
Yeah.
So let's just say hypothetically, Bolton testifies, John Bolton. Hypothetically, let's just say Bolton says, who's, by the way, a lifelong Republican way to the right, and he says, listen, I advised the president not to withhold the aid. He refused. He said he wanted to withhold the aid. There was a quid pro quo. Then would you have a bigger problem?
No. Because if that's what happened, that's what happened. But at the same time, withholding aid, that doesn't necessarily mean that he did or did not withhold the aid because to help himself get elected or anything like that.
Okay, so let me ask you another question then. Based on that, let me ask you another question. And what we know right now, do you think the reason why him bringing up the Bidens in that phone call was 100% because he cares so much about corruption? Or do you think there's any part of him that brought up the Bidens because Joe Biden is probably going to be his political rival? Do you think is it 100%?
I think both.
Okay, so there you go. You answered my question. If it's both, then he put himself before the country.
But I think he put both.
You can't.
And I'm not okay. So, anyways, here's the reason I made my call.
Sure.
Is if Bolton does testify,
yes,
or he doesn't testify, and then he writes a book, and what you just said, if he testifies that he told the president not to withhold the aid,
right,
and it was done, and it turns out that his testimony would have made a difference, wouldn't he be admitting to obstruction of justice in his book, and wouldn't he be charged?
Well, no, because he wasn't forced to testify, but I will say this, Paul, and that's a very good question. I will say this. It shows Bolton is a coward if he does write that in his book, because it does not work for the administration anymore. So what does that mean? It means he can go on a media tour. He can go on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. He can do an interview with anybody and speak what he wants to say. But he's not doing that. So that's a good question. And I agree with you. If he writes that in his book, but yet he doesn't testify, he loses all credibility, in my opinion, as a human being. I still believe him. I hope that makes sense. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Jordan. Jordan, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Yeah, I was just wondering what your thoughts on Schiff is. Do you think he's changing anyone's mind? Any senators that are on the fence?
That's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. Probably not, Jordan. And the reason why I say that is because look at the votes yesterday, right, Jordan? 53-47, 53-47. I don't think there's many Republicans out there whose minds would be changed unless, Jordan, we get Bolton on the stand, we get Mulvaney on the stand, we get Parnas on the stand. Then I think people like Mitt Romney and maybe several other Republicans could change their mind. But I think that's the key, Jordan. Democrats have to find a way to get them up on the stand, and it just doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Well, I think they probably missed their opportunity in the House because they definitely don't have the votes in the Senate. So I don't know why Schiff and whoever else was in charge didn't.
But Jordan, you understand. But Jordan, you do understand that they tried to get Bolton to testify. He refused.
Well, they didn't subpoena him, though. Did you know that?
I understand that, but the bottom line is they were threatened a lawsuit by Bolton's attorneys, and Bolton was asked to come in. He ignored that request. He didn't come in. So even if he was subpoenaed, I don't think he would have acknowledged that subpoena. I think he would have defied the subpoena, and I don't think it would have worked. The problem is I think Democrats are put in a very difficult situation because Republicans are blocking everything. They're blocking everything, Jordan. You know, that's an issue. That's a problem. I mean, I'm trying to think about this in any trial, right? In any trial, you want all the evidence to come forward. And if it exonerates the president, you understand what I'm saying? Then so be it. But if it doesn't, then listen, we need to know the truth. Do you understand where I'm going with this?
Yeah, but they had the votes in the House, but they knew in the Senate they didn't have the votes. So I would have thought they would have put their best.
But it wouldn't have changed where they're at now. Jordan, listen, I understand where you're coming from, and I appreciate the phone call. The point I'm trying to make is they wouldn't have been able to get these people to testify anyway. They're not stupid. You can call them left-wing hacks and Democrats and all that and liberals and all that other stuff, but the bottom line is they just wouldn't have been able to do it. So now they're in a situation where I think, in my personal opinion, they're making Republicans look really bad because they're showing that Republicans don't want the truth to come out. And then all of a sudden, Donald Trump says nice things about Mr. Bolton today. Geez, I wonder why. Why would Donald Trump today kiss the ass of Bolton, a guy who he fired not that long ago? I'll tell you why. Because he's afraid what Bolton has to say. And I'm telling you right now, Bolton might care more about money than what's best for this country, but he is going to do a tell-all in that book. And I'm telling you what's going to be in that book, that there was a quid pro quo, and Republicans are going to look like morons once again. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
Do you know that mortgage rates have plummeted to a 3-year low and are nearing historic lows? At the same time, home values have gone up roughly 50% in the last several years. However, they seem to be peaking now. Maybe it's time to put that equity to work by paying off high-rate credit cards, personal loans, or remodel your house. Hi, I'm Wesley Hoagland with Westland Financial. Let us put you in a position to do any of these things with no closing costs. That's right, nothing's rolled into your loan, whether it's conventional, FHA, or VA. We'll pay your title, settlement, lender, and recording fees. Maybe you just want to lock in a lower rate or refinance out of paying mortgage insurance. All it takes is a 5-minute phone call to see how we can save you thousands of dollars a year. So call Westland at 888-455-3669. It's the biggest no-brainer in the history of mankind. Call us at 888-455-3669. 888-455-3669. That's 888-455-3669.
NMLS number 3304. Not all loans apply. Equal housing lender. The only FM news talk station in the Valley. 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN, Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
The House prosecution today begins 3 days of presenting its case to convict President Trump of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. The lead House trial manager, Adam Schiff.
President Trump withheld hundreds of millions of dollars in military aid to a strategic partner at war with Russia to secure foreign help with his reelection. In other words, to cheat.
Just before the trial resumed today, Republican Lindsey Graham says Democrats didn't try to fight the president's blocking evidence and witnesses because they feared it would take too long.
They did not pursue these witnesses because they knew the president would seek judicial redress, and it literally would stop them impeaching him before the election.
President Trump said today he would love to sit in the front row of the Senate chamber while his own impeachment hearing is taking place. I'm Mike Moss. Republican Senator Josh Hawley says he doesn't think the trial is necessary. He says he's heard enough in yesterday's opening comments to think witnesses and more evidence aren't necessary.
We have the evidence in front of us. The trial briefs are quite voluminous. The House record has been admitted into Senate evidence. I don't think we need additional witnesses, but my point is, if we're going to call witnesses, then there's a number of folks I'd like to hear from, and Hunter Biden's at the top of that list.
Democratic Senate Leader Chuck Schumer says the GOP rules are intended to create an unfair trial.
If there's one thing we learned from the series of votes on the Senate floor, it's that Leader McConnell and Senate Republicans don't want a fair trial that considers all the evidence.
New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy's office says the state has become the first to guarantee severance pay for mass layoffs, requiring companies to pay them a week's pay for each year of service during a mass layoff. The Dow up 63. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Lowe's, a crash on the 215 Beltway westbound at Warm Springs. Also an accident on Dean Martin northbound at Cactus, blocking 2 left lanes, merge way right to get around, and also a crash on Sahara eastbound approaching Las Vegas Boulevard. An earlier accident, Rancho at Charleston, still a factor but near the clearing stage. Pros do it right by shopping at Lowe's to save on the supplies they need most from the brands they trust to get the job done. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
Get the rest you deserve with Helix Sleep. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences and give you the best sleep of your life. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off during their New Year sale.
So what's your plan to make this new decade the best ever? Exercise? No brainer. I'm a Pilates man myself. Diet? Yep. Meditation? Sounds good to me, but how about sleep? Hi, I'm Dave Mizrahi, owner of Best Mattress, and nothing will help you be the best you more than good sleep. I can help with that. At Best Mattress, get a free adjustable base with a queen mattress of $5.99 or more. Sleep better, live better. It's going to be a great year. Best Mattress. Sleep easy, friends. See store for details.
Warning. This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. The world is changing. Isn't it time smoking changed too? Vuse Alto is a vapor product offering you a satisfying alternative to cigarettes. Simple to use, surprisingly quiet, and impressively powerful. Our best vapor yet at our best price ever, 99 cents, plus tax at participating retailers. 99-cent offer applies to Alto device. Pods sold separately. Underage sale prohibited.
It's a new year, time for new you. Hey, it's KDWN's John Schaefer here from my friends at Numel Medical. Well, did you make a New Year's resolution? Maybe you want to hit the gym more, drink a little less. But guys, let's be honest, we tend to bail on those resolutions after a couple of weeks. It's where my friends at Numel Medical can help. You see, low testosterone can lead to lack of energy, weight gain, even a poor performance in the bedroom. Numel Medical is the leader in men's sexual health. You'll see results on your very first visit, or that visit is free. And guys, popping a little blue pill is just a temporary fix. Numel Medical is going to create a long-term, custom-tailored solution specific to you. They'll have you feeling better and performing better. Just ask the tens of thousands of men in the Las Vegas area alone who had the courage to give them a call. Numel.com. That's Numale.com. 702-505-4414. That's the number. Better health is always a great resolution. Don't see a cheap imitation? Go to the originators. Numel.com. 702-505-4414.
1015 FM, 720 AM. KDON, the talk of Las Vegas. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. We have some big guests lined up for you tomorrow. We'll explain coming up here in a little bit. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, I did tease this last hour. Live report from the courtroom, if I can speak. New York Post reporter Emily Saul will be joining us. She is covering the Michael Avenatti case. I believe Michael Avenatti is in the courtroom as we speak. So we'll get a live report from her, figure out what's going on there in New York coming up here in just a little bit. I'm a big college basketball junkie, right? I'm a college basketball fan. I love basketball, and I'm going through the channels yesterday, and in-state rivalry game. There were some good college basketball games yesterday. Kansas State and Kansas. It's a live game. It was on ESPN yesterday, and Kansas was completely in control of this game for the most part, from start to finish. Bill Self, good basketball coach, and probably has the best hairpiece, the best rug in all of sports. So with that being said, Kansas is completely in control of this game, completely. And the Jayhawks are just dribbling out the clock. I think if memory serves me right, they were up big. They were up like 22 points, something like that. And there's like 13 seconds to go. So it's kind of one of those unwritten rules in basketball. It happens in the NBA. It happens at the college level. Even happens at the high school level. If a team is up like 20 points and it's a blowout, and there's like 30 or 20 seconds to go, 99 out of 100 times, the defense will just allow them to dribble the ball out because the game is over, right? That's the normal recourse. That didn't happen last night. He was dribbling out the clock. The score was 81-60, the Jayhawks were. Silvio De Sousa had the basketball. This is a big kid. And he was stripped by one of the Kansas State players. DeJuan Gordon is his name. It happened at midcourt. Gordon steals the ball, and he tried to go up for a layup on the other end. And De Sousa made a good play. He blocked him. Okay, so nothing really wrong with that. You could make the argument that Kansas State's players shouldn't have stealed the ball. But whatever. Who cares? You won the game. You're up 20 points. Let it go. In fact, I'm surprised even De Sousa tried to block it. But he did. He made a good play. Here's where it went all wrong after that. Okay, right after he blocks the shot, he stands over Gordon, barking at him. That is a no-no in the world of sports. You don't stand over another player when he's on the ground. That is complete disrespect. It was completely unnecessary. That triggered both benches to empty into what amounted to be a rugby scrum. It was bad. And it reminded me a little bit of the Malice at the Palace because the fight went into the stands. Okay? Not only did it go into the stands, but it was in the handicap section. You know how every arena has like a handicap section where people, they might be in a wheelchair. It's the handicap section, right? This is where the fight broke out. And at one point, De Sousa picks up a stool and held it over his head. If that hits somebody, that's criminal. That's criminal. Something really bad could have happened. But as I said, both benches were cleared. This is just a disgusting situation. And I want to play you the live audio of the game on ESPN. Here is when the brawl breaks out. This was the live broadcast, and here's what it sounded like.
Oh, this is bad.
This is
no good. Oh, this is terrible.
There are going to be ramifications for this going forward.
And it's just no point to it.
Well, he's right. There was no point to it, and this is very serious. Now, I respect Dick Vitale a lot. In fact, Dick Vitale came on our show a few months ago. Great guy. We've learned that De Sousa has been suspended indefinitely. There's no chance he's going to play basketball again this year. There's no chance. Here's Dick Vitale, his reaction on ESPN to this brawl.
Well, just absolutely sickening, unbelievable. In 40 years on my TV, I haven't seen anything like that unless you go to the NBA and you look at the Pistons brawl that took place at the Palace. I think there's no doubt in my mind that De Sousa never, ever should put a uniform on again in college basketball.
I agree. This year is not enough. That kid should never be allowed to play college basketball again. If you are dumb enough to not only throw punches, what he did before it got physical was a technical foul, at worst. He was standing over a player. Should never happen. Even if there was a little bit of pushing and shoving, it would have been a technical foul. Nobody would have gotten suspended. Then when the bench is cleared, he's the one who decided to throw the first punches, and then he picks up a chair. And thank God, and I mean thank God for the Jayhawks assistant coach who got in the middle of that scrum and helped, I guess, diffuse the situation, make it less serious. But boy, was that a bad situation. I'm telling you, we're going to have one of these situations. I hope I'm wrong, but I think we're going to have a situation where a fan is going to get seriously injured. Something is going to happen in one of these brawls, and they don't happen very often, thank God. But something is going to happen where a fan is going to get seriously hurt. I mean, imagine if you had a fan in a wheelchair there who's handicapped, who's sitting in that section, who was hit by a chair and God forbid, lost his life. This kid, De Sousa, would go to jail for a very long time. The NCAA needs to throw the hammer down on this, And a 1-year suspension is not enough. His college basketball career should be over. I could not agree with Dick Vitale anymore. This is a serious situation. It can't happen in sports anywhere, certainly not in college basketball. This was the worst thing I've seen in basketball since the Ron Artest Malice at the Palace with the Detroit Pistons and the Indiana Pacers. And that was even worse. That was horrible because some fans got injured. That was terrible. And Bill Self. You know, I saw the jokes on social media where, Bill Self is saying, he said that, well, we are responsible for this, and he made some general statements last night, and I heard some people saying, well, the biggest surprise in that fight yesterday is Bill Self's hairpiece stayed on his head. That was kind of funny. He also said, I also saw some social media postings in regards to Bill Self that said he pays players to play basketball. He shouldn't pay players to fight. That's kind of a knock on Bill Self because we all know he's cheated to recruit. This is really bad, folks. This is beyond sports, and this is beyond basketball. We had a situation at a UNLV game a few weeks ago. UNLV was playing San Jose State. I was at the Thomas and Mack Center. It's just like a week and a half ago. And one of the players went into the stands because he was being hazed by some fans. Imagine if somebody threw a punch there. Would have been the same thing. People would have gotten seriously hurt. What happened to that player? To my understanding, he wasn't even suspended. If you're the head coach of San Jose State and you have one of your players that goes into the fans, I don't care what that fan says. I shouldn't say I don't care, but that fan could threaten your life, call you the N-word, and it would be awful, and that fan should be ejected and never be allowed to be back in that arena. With that being said, that does not give a student-athlete a right to go into the stands and be violent. I personally believe that if a player leaves the bench and goes into the arena in any way, shape, or form and addresses fans, they should be suspended minimum a year. And that's without physical violence or anything like that happening. This kid, DeSosa, should never be allowed to play college basketball again. And I want to know what you guys think about this because I have some pretty strong opinions on this. I believe if you are a professional or even a college basketball player, it is your responsibility to ignore the fans, as annoying as they can be from time to time. It is your responsibility to keep your cool, especially if you're a professional. If a college basketball player or a pro goes into the stands for any reason, you think they should be allowed to play basketball for the remainder of that year? For example, if you're at a Lakers game, and God forbid, I hope this doesn't happen, but if some idiot in the stands, some racist buffoon, calls a player the N-word, calls LeBron James the N-word, which would be an awful thing to do, I hope it never happens, and I would support that fan being banned for life from that arena. But let's just say hypothetically that does happen. Does that give LeBron James the right to go into the stands and throw a punch or be physical or even go into the stands for that matter? Are you okay with that? Because I'm not. It is a professional athlete's responsibility to keep their cool under any circumstance. Tell the officials, tell your teammates, tell the coach. And I think it applies to college basketball too. And the reason why I say that is for this reason. People are going to get hurt. I don't want anybody getting hurt. Innocent people are going to get hurt. It's what happened in the Malice at the Palace. Do you remember that? Ron Artest punched the wrong guy who didn't throw the water bottle or the cup of beer at him. Innocent people are getting, I don't want innocent people getting hurt. Now, would I feel bad if somebody called LeBron the N-word and LeBron knocked him out on the street? Absolutely not. I wouldn't feel bad for that guy. But innocent people can get hurt. So I pose this question to all of you. And we're talking about this brawl that took place last night, Kansas State. What do you think should happen to these players that started this fight? Are you okay with a college basketball player or a professional athlete going into the stands, and under what circumstances? What punishment do you think there should be for a college athlete or a pro for going into the stands? What circumstances do you think could defend something like that? The number to call, 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of this conversation, that is 702-257-5396. I'm going to be very consistent on this, and I know there's going to be a lot of people that, well, maybe not a lot of people, but some people that are going to disagree with me on this. I don't think Silvio De Sousa, what he did last night at the Kansas State game, I don't think Silvio De Sousa should ever be allowed to play college basketball ever again for anybody. He has lost that privilege. 150%, he should never be allowed again. The second you decide to throw punches and pick up a chair is the second you should never be allowed to be a D1 college basketball player. Now, I also wonder, and I wonder if Zion Williamson would never have done something like that. He's too smart. But I wonder if it was somebody at his level, if they would have put the clamps down on him. I don't know, because this is a business. While some of these kids, the majority of these kids are not making money, I think some of them are. We can debate that. College basketball is about money. It's about money for the university. It's about money for the staff. It is about money and sponsorships and ratings. The NCAA, they don't want to talk about money. That's what this is about. This is about money. And Silvio De Sousa, while he's a good basketball player, he's not the number 1 draft pick. He's not a first-round draft pick. He is done. Maybe that kid will get an opportunity to play pro ball in Europe at some point, and I'm going to be totally fine with that. But he should never be allowed to be a college basketball player ever again. That's it. Done. Saying that he is suspended indefinitely, well, what does that mean? It means they can reinstate him next year. That's not enough. He should be done. And the NCAA should put down the clamps and say he is not allowed to be a Division I college athlete or a college athlete ever again. Period. End of story. Now, there should be ramifications for others that were involved, but he was the one who started this. He's the one that threw the punches. He's the one that picked up a chair. He needs to go. Silvio De Sousa, goodbye. You should never be allowed to be a college basketball player again. You just ruined your college career in a nutshell. Period. End of story. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. So there's always some fun stuff to talk about when it comes to O.J. Simpson, right? Mr. Double Murderer. And we're going to get to that coming up next. O.J. Simpson commenting on Derek Jeter. And you're not going to believe the verbiage that he used. We'll talk about that coming up next. You're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM 720 AM K-Dawn.
I've had blue-fern Amazon parrots and cockatiels and finches and cats and a little Lhasa Apso, a Maltese, she's like 22, a yellow lab Floyd, a black lab Murphy. Murphy's coat, it's very, very shiny, like it sparkles in the sun. And I'm also a part-time dog trainer, so I will always endorse Dinovite. DINOVITE.com. Why wait until your dog is shedding like a monster? Save your dog from the agony, the misery of being stinky and having hot spots and shedding and making sure that they have the proper nutrition. The omega-3 fatty acids, flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa, the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food. Get them started early. I mean, your dogs will love you for it. My dogs do puppy zoomies around the house.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dinovite at DINOVITE.com.
Imagine crossing a street busy with traffic. Against the light.
Watch where you're going.
Wearing a blindfold. Would you do this? Probably not. It's one risk obviously not worth taking. Some risks aren't as obvious, yet could be just as deadly, like the risk for type 2 diabetes. If you're overweight or over 45, if you're not very active, or don't eat as healthy as you should, there's an easy test you can take to find out your risk. It's free, and in less than a minute, you'll know if you're at risk for this deadly disease. Just go to diabetes.org/take-the-test or call 1-800-DIABETES. Because type 2 diabetes is one risk you can't afford to take. Take the diabetes risk test and stop diabetes before it stops you. A message from the American Diabetes Association.
Maybe it's time to take a fresh look at everything we thought we knew about landing a great job. For instance, what if phenomenal careers start at the middle school science fair instead of at the job fair? If being the captain of the robotics team means just as much on a college application as being captain of the football team. And if knowing the quadratic formula is every bit as important as knowing the right people. Well, the fact is, the jobs of the future will be heavily geared towards science, technology, engineering, and math. In other words, the future is STEM. More opportunities, better pay. And the road to these great jobs starts as early as middle school. So if you're a student, Talk to your school counselor about STEM. If you're a parent, talk to your kids, because the job you'll get in the future may very well depend on what you do today. A public service message from America's Navy.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 1015 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us. Some big guests, by the way, tomorrow. We'll talk about those coming up a little bit later on in the program. And here in just a few minutes, we'll be getting a live report from the courtroom. Mike Lavinati is in court right now, and Emily Saul reports for the New York Post, and she'll be joining us here in just a few minutes. Another sports story I wanted to bring up here real quickly, and then we'll take a few phone calls at 702-257-5396. Derek Jeter in the news. If you missed it, he was within one vote of being a unanimous pick for the Hall of Fame, and Larry Walker also earned baseball's highest honor yesterday. Of course, you know Derek Jeter. He appeared on 396 of 397 ballot cast by the Baseball Writers Association of America. I would love to know the one person who didn't vote him as a unanimous pick for a Hall of Famer. It must be a Red Sox fan or something. Completely and utterly ridiculous. I hate to say this, folks, and it pains me to say this. It really does. But I have to agree with O.J. Simpson. As you know, O.J. himself, hello, Twitter world. O.J. Simpson himself, the double murderer, does live here in Las Vegas, and he does make Twitter posts from time to time. Usually it's about fantasy football. By the way, bet against O.J. Simpson anytime you can because he's horrible at fantasy football. But anyway, he did a Twitter post yesterday in regards to Derek Jeter. Here's exactly what he said about not being a unanimous vote into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Here it is.
Hey, Twitter world, yours truly. Well, I just finished playing golf. And you know what? I don't normally bet, and I love Patrick Mahomes. You guys saw me on Halloween. I was Mahomie. But I got to bet my 49ers, especially now if I can get 2 points. I'm taking the Niners. Just got off the golf course and heard something I couldn't believe. Who wouldn't vote for Derek Jeter for Baseball Hall of Fame? This man has been a credit to the game. He's been a credit to sports. He's had a hell of a career. I mean, seriously, take that guy's vote away from him. He should never be able to vote again. He's probably from Boston, but even Boston people appreciate good baseball. I'm just saying, get rid of that guy. Take care.
I'm just saying. Hello, Twitter world. It's yours truly. I was on the golf course, and I heard something that I couldn't believe. What's that, OJ? That they found the real killer? Is that what it was? By the way, what is he doing these days besides playing golf and drinking wine at some local bars here in Vegas? Is he still trying to find the real killer of his ex-wife and of Ronald Goldman? I wonder if he's still doing that. Jeez, what a mystery that is, isn't it? Jeez, I wonder who committed that crime. Who did it? Gosh, it just hits me really every day. I wish we could find the real killer. Anyway, but I hate to say this, but OJ's 100% right. See, here's how I think this voting should go. I think we deserve to know their voting record. And if whoever didn't vote for Derek, and listen, I come from Connecticut. I grew up a Boston Red Sox fan. This is a Red Sox fan talking right now. Whoever didn't vote Derek Jeter in unanimously as a pick for the Hall of Fame should never be allowed to vote again, period. Don't you think we should know? Don't you think we deserve to know who this idiot is that did not vote in Derek Jeter? It is ridiculous. It makes no sense. Derek Jeter did everything right. He never cheated. He never took steroids. He has Hall of Fame numbers. He's got the championships. He was a role model in New York. A-Rod, was a wannabe Derek Jeter his whole life. What did Derek Jeter ever do wrong in his career besides hit and field and win championships? He is a winner. He is going to go down as one of the best Yankees players of all time. And there's one schlob who's in the media who did not vote for Derek Jeter. Perhaps it's the same media members in Las Vegas that write articles in the Review Journal that said Tony Sanchez did everything but win. I'm telling you, it's an Ed Graney-like who voted Derek Jeter not in. I'm telling you. It's somebody like that who is a sports writer, who has a huge ego, that thinks his you-know-what doesn't stink because he writes on sports. He's probably a Red Sox fan or an anti-Yankees fan, or maybe one time in his career, Derek Jeter snubbed him for maybe an autograph or an interview. So the guy decides not to vote Derek Jeter as a Hall of Famer. We need to find out who this idiot is. And he needs to be ostracized from the media and never be allowed to vote again, period. That's it. Done. There's not a lot of stories in sports that get me really fired up, but this one does. I was never a Yankees fan, but I always had a respect for Derek Jeter. You have to respect Derek Jeter. How could you not? And he's a pretty private guy. He doesn't like talking about his personal life. In fact, he does his charity golf tournament here at Shadow Creek, doesn't even let anyone cover it. No media is allowed, and that's fine. He has the right to do that. Michael Jordan's the opposite. He did his golf tournament here. He let the media walk the grounds. He let the media show up and do whatever they wanted to do. But that's Derek Jeter. He's just a different guy. But also, Derek Jeter has done a ton of stuff for charity, too. Can you find a more perfect guy to be a Hall of Famer? We're not just talking about the numbers. The numbers speak for themselves. He's absolutely a Hall of Famer. This guy has done so many great things for charity. This guy did everything right as a professional baseball player. And I mean everything. Name me one thing the guy did that you didn't like. He was a good teammate. You don't hear teammates speak negatively about him. He had to deal with Steinbrenner for years. They never had a bad relationship. He had a great relationship with his managers, including Joe Torre. The guy won. Also, oh, by the way, the guy was kind of clutch, too. How many big hits did Derek Jeter have? I think that's another stat that we don't really talk about, is how clutch were you? And Derek Jeter was Mr. Clutch. He was Mr. October. So I don't know, maybe some of you disagree with me on this. Not the fact, I'm sure you all agree that Jeter deserves to be a Hall of Famer, but maybe you disagree with me that we shouldn't out the voting. We shouldn't find out, it's private. We shouldn't find out, he's the Hall of Fame voter whistleblower, so to speak. Maybe we shouldn't find out who this guy is, or girl. I completely disagree. If you vote like that, you should never be allowed to vote again, period. This isn't like voting the elections. This isn't like voting for a president. These are members of the media, accredited members of the media, and we have the right to know who they did or didn't vote for. And they should have to answer to that. So this person who didn't vote Derek Jeter in should have to answer to people. He should have to write an article and defend it. I would love to read that article. You know what? It'll probably help his career, not hurt his career, because it'll give him a lot of attention. But I'm tired of people in the media that think their you-know-what doesn't stink. They have egos. They probably never played a sport in their life. They have vendettas. They grow up a fan. Because what are sports writers in general? While I have a respect for many journalists, a lot of the people who write about sports are simply fans. They're sports fans turned journalists because some of them, not all of them, some of them are very good writers. And I have respect for some of the writers in this town. I have no respect for some of them for different reasons. But we need to find out who exactly did not vote Derek Jeter into the Hall of Fame. And when we do find that out, we would love to get that person on the show, and I would love that person to defend that vote or lack thereof, because I think it's very important. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get a live report from the courtroom from the New York Post's very own Emily Saul covering the Michael Avenatti case. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You are listening to The Vegas Take.
Special report Trump impeachment trial. Adam Schiff, the lead House trial manager, has laid out the charges against President Trump before the U.S. senators serving as jurors.
President Trump solicited foreign interference in our democratic elections, abusing the power of his office to seek help from abroad to improve his reelection prospects at home. And when he was caught, he used the powers of that office to obstruct the investigation into his own misconduct.
Schiff and the other trial managers have begun a 3-day presentation of the charges of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. But Republican Lindsey Graham says Democrats are only out to get the president.
When it comes to Donald Trump, they're willing to destroy the institution of the office in the name of getting him.
Democrats say Trump has been bragging even today about withholding evidence from investigators. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Letterman Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by Indeed.com. The accident on the 215 Beltway westbound at Warm Springs now in the clearing stage. I see some slowing on I-15 northbound between Flamingo and Sahara. And no delays to report 95 east side, west side looking good inbound. On the surface streets, a crash reported Dean Martin northbound at Cactus, blocking 2 lanes, also now in the clearing stage. You're in charge of hiring. Let Indeed's customized screening tools help fine-tune your shortlist so you can get back to your other to-do lists. Post your next job at Indeed.com/hire. John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
It's a crime. Most Americans living today have never held a hefty, gleaming U.S. silver dollar.
Well, silver dollars are hard to find.
That's because in 1918, the U.S. government melted down nearly half of the entire mintage, over 270 million silver dollars. But a limited number of these silver coins were rescued, and now they're available, courtesy of govmint.com.
Wow, look at the detail on this silver coin.
That's a Morgan silver dollar. It's a real U.S. vintage silver dollar. It dates back to 1921.
It's nearly 100 years old, but it still looks amazing. How can I purchase these beautiful silver coins for myself?
To find out how to secure your 1921 vintage Morgan silver dollar at our exceptional government price, call 1-800-456-2466. Call now, and we'll give you a free catalog just for calling. Call now to get your 1921 vintage Morgan silver dollar, plus your free catalog just for calling. 1-800-456-2466. That's 1-800-456-2466.
When you're diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, a million questions flood your mind.
How can this be happening?
Am I going to be able to work?
What's a subtype? What do I do now?
We know.
We went through it too. But once you start to understand your options,
You can partner with your doctor
and find ways to face MBC on your own terms. Visit findyourmbcvoice.com and learn how to speak up and have a more informed conversation with your doctor.
Some questions have answers.
Visit findyourmbcvoice.com to find some of yours.
Family Promise of Las Vegas, please leave a message.
I've been laid off my job, so we're facing eviction. I have 2 daughters.
I'm calling for emergency shelter for me and my 2.5-year-old son.
I'm a single father with a 14-year-old daughter looking for emergency shelter.
Join with Family Promise of Las Vegas, where our mission is to bring homeless families with children home again, one family at a time. Visit fplv.org and become a friend of our family today.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 1015 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us on a Wednesday. You know, since our producer doesn't always tell me the guest we have on tomorrow, I'm going to invite Jason Stein in studio right now. If he's not in the restroom going number 2, I'm going to invite Jason in studio to tell us some of the special guests that we have planned for tomorrow on the show, because we do have some big guests tomorrow. Obviously, we're covering this impeachment. Well, it's already I hate to call it the impeachment. It's not really. It's the Senate trial. So we have some very special guests that are going to be joining us on the show tomorrow. Jason, why don't you tell us who we got?
Hopefully, J.D. Sharp will be joining us on the show tomorrow. That would be a very special guest.
Yeah, my co-host. That'd be nice.
Hopefully, he gets his black mold issues resolved and comes back in. But no, we got a big show tomorrow, Brian. You know, I don't know if you know about this thing called SHOT. This SHOT convention. It's a big gun convention that's going on here in Las Vegas this week. We've arranged to have the state director of the NRA, Dan Reed, will be joining us tomorrow, so that'll be good. We're also going to talk a little bit about another big thing happening in Vegas, the NFL draft.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the porn expo.
No, we're going to get to that too. In fact, we're going right after the show. We're going to try to round up some guests for that. You're right. We got a big week for AVN. We talked about that. So yeah, we'll do something with that. We're going to talk guns. We're going to talk NFL draft coming in April. Yesterday, we learned a lot about the plans. They're going to be having this thing at the Bellagio, and they're going to have players. The picks are going to be on a boat, and they're going to be driven to a stage. So that's going to be a big extravaganza. We're going to have Lawrence Weekly on. He's on the Clark County Commission. He actually went to Nashville last year when they had the draft there. And
I'm glad he did that.
And kind of observed and talked to people, took some notes to bring back and apply it to Vegas, so he can talk about what to expect, what some of the pros and cons are going to be of having the draft here. We're also hoping to talk to another Clinton, and I just got to get a time nailed down, but another Clinton impeachment manager, Bill McCollum, representative from Florida, was also, as you know, we had earlier today, we had an impeachment manager, Judge James Rogan. Well, this guy was right there too, with a front row seat to history, and he's agreed to come on. So no shortage of big topics and guests tomorrow.
And tomorrow's Thursday, so we might be having Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports joining us.
Or maybe Dirty Dining with Darcy Spears.
That's
we
right.
usually have her, but
That's
we may
right.
have to shuffle some things.
You got to shuffle.
These things might spill over to Friday because there's just too much good stuff going on.
The life of a producer, you got to shuffle.
It never ends.
You got to
Never
shuffle
ends.
some things. So my understanding, you have been in contact with Emily Saul from the New York Post.
Yeah.
And the reason why we were going to have her on is because she is in the courtroom right now covering Michael Avenatti's Nike trial. I believe the pretrial proceedings have begun, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, right. They're just trying to figure out when it's going to proceed, what date, and what the rules are going to be. And it's probably very similar to this Senate impeachment crap that we're watching. But yeah, Emily, she's been very good about getting back to me. She's a New York Post writer. She's been covering Avenatti all week long, and since his move to New York and the jail conditions he's been on, held under there in Manhattan. She said, yeah, I didn't expect that my day would be going on 4.5 hours. She's been in court for 4.5 hours for this Avenatti hearing, so she probably isn't going to be able to pop on today, but we'll touch base with her in the future, and we'll read her article afterwards. I'm sure we'll have a better idea of what's going to happen with Michael in New York.
4.5 hours in the courtroom is a little better than 24/7 solitary confinement. That's what Michael Avenatti is having to deal with right now. I wanted to talk to you about that.
And I'm reading up on that jail, by the way. There have been many articles, sorry to interrupt, but many articles written about this MCC in Lower Manhattan. I mean, it looks just like a very normal building in Lower Manhattan, and then inside, what the stories that are coming out of there from people who've been held there are just awful. Freezing conditions, bugs.
Let me start from the beginning.
Rodent infestation. So anyway,
let's talk about that. But let me start from the beginning. Obviously, Michael Avenatti, former attorney, Stormy Daniels, he's been doing our show every week for 6 months. He's been in studio, I think, a dozen times. And during those visits, there have been some times where we've grabbed a bite, we've gone to dinner. I've gotten a chance to know him a little bit more. And in the time I've gotten to know Michael Avenatti, here's what I'll say about him to start. He's not stupid. He's a smart guy. He's very successful. And he's a fighter, and he says what's on his mind, and sometimes that can get you into trouble. I can relate to that, trust me. Now, I've said this, and I'm going to be very consistent on Michael. And I'll put it this way. He's been going after some of the most powerful companies and the most powerful people in the world. Nike is arguably a $100 billion company, and maybe it's more than that. Okay, Phil Knight is worth $40 billion. If you're going to go after those types of companies, and you're going to go after the President of the United States, and this happened way before he was president, you have to make sure there are no skeletons in your closet. Now, I don't know if Michael Avenatti broke the law. I've had plenty of private conversations with him that I am not going to share publicly. With that being said, I think anyone who is a Michael Avenatti supporter has reason to feel worried for a lot of different reasons. He has never been convicted of a crime, and that is very important to state. And many of the people that are bashing Michael Avenatti, many, not all, but many, are the right-wing bias hacks that are Donald Trump supporters. Many of the people that are attacking Michael Avenatti are the same people that keep quiet when Donald Trump bragged about sexual assault, when Donald Trump went after John McCain, when Donald Trump goes after a woman based on her looks. They keep quiet, right? When you hear those things, they keep quiet. But when it comes to Michael Avenatti, an attorney that they don't like because of his political beliefs, perhaps, or because of the fact that they went after his beloved Donald Trump, that's when they decide to attack. Tucker Carlson, Fox News, who I believe is a complete coward, now all of a sudden wants to interview Michael Avenatti, but he only did one interview with Michael Avenatti a long time ago. And he hasn't invited him back since. Again, I don't know if Michael Avenatti is guilty of a crime. I really don't. I have absolutely no idea. Here's what I do know. We've learned that he's been put in 24/7 solitary confinement And what his attorney has said is temperatures in the mid-40s. We've learned that he only gets one social call per month, not per week, not per day, per month. We've learned that he's in the same cell that was utilized by El Chapo. We've learned through his attorneys that they're not able to go over discovery with him. They're not able to defend their client to the best of their abilities. Now, these are white-collar crimes. Now, some white-collar crimes are serious. I understand that. Is he really a detriment to society and a threat to society? All the people that they put on probation? And you're telling me that Michael Avenatti is a threat to society? Don't you tell me this has nothing to do with Nike. Don't you tell me this has nothing to do with Trump and the Attorney General. Of course it does. He went after the most powerful people in the world, and he said it himself on this show that he was flying too close to the sun.
And you know also what came out, the warden of that jail, Brian, said the reason he's being held under that strict 24/7 is because of his notoriety, and it's for his own safety. Now, you may know this is the same jail where Jeffrey Epstein was murdered / killed himself.
Mm-hmm.
We don't exactly know. So maybe it is for his own protection. Now, I think that they are going to ease up on him as his trial moves forward, because he's got to be able to talk to his lawyers and adequately prepare his legal case. Now, by the way, I did just get some information from Emily Saul from the New York Post, who's in the courtroom. She said the jury selection will begin Monday.
Okay.
Monday. That's a big thing that came
Well,
out
I can tell you right now where Michael Avenatti is completely screwed. If you've got 8 or 9 people on that jury that wear their MAGA hats every day that are Trump supporters, he's done. He's done. You have to find people that are independent, not even Democrats. Their political affiliation is so important. It has nothing to do with race, and it has everything to do with their political affiliation. Because you're telling me you can find me a Trump supporter, a strong Trump supporter on that jury who would find Michael Avenatti innocent? No chance. I think it is going to be very tough for him to get a fair trial.
Well, people like Tucker Carlson have been, every single time he's in the news for something negative, they've been just dancing on his grave.
Yeah.
So anyone who watches Fox News and likes Fox News and agrees with the hosts, in my mind, they're a tainted juror. Now, I hope that Avenatti's attorneys, I'm sure they're smarter than me. I'm sure that question will have to be asked of the jurors. Do you listen to conservative talk radio, or do you watch Fox News? Because if you do, you can't avoid this Avenatti publicity.
And we'll take some phone calls on this. What do you think about this Michael Avenatti situation? 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call, 702-257-5396. Again, I asked people on the right and Trump supporters, if Trump was on trial for, I don't know, sexual assault, let's just say, would you want a bunch of liberals on that jury? Of course not. Same thing with Michael Avenatti. You don't want a bunch of MAGA hat right-wing Trump supporters on the jury either. You want independents. I think it's a pretty simple scenario. I don't think he is being treated fairly. And I think it has to do with a couple different things. He went after Trump for years, and I also think it has a lot to do with Nike. You cannot tell me that he is a detriment to society right now, and he is a threat to society. You cannot convince me that. You just can't. I don't know whether he committed crimes or not. Never been convicted of a crime in his life, let alone in this situation. He's never been convicted of a crime in his life. That's very important. Very, very important.
You know, I don't wish those jail conditions on anybody, Brian, and I don't want to, make Michael out to be any kind of victim per se, but you think about, he is a very successful lawyer from L.A., and he has made a lot of money in his career, probably the right way, and has done a lot of good, and he's earned that money. And he is used to some very nice accommodations, hotels and resorts and whatnot. And can you imagine just sitting in that cell if you're him? But again, like to your point, he is a fighter. And he's, I believe, going to continue to fight through this trial.
Yep. All right. Number to call, 702-257-5396. Again, if you want to be a part of the program, 257-5396. Maybe you believe that Michael is getting what he deserves. I mean, I'll hear your argument. I probably won't agree with it, but I'll hear you out. Again, that number is 702-257-5396. Why don't we start off with Tim? Tim, thanks for calling in. What do you make of all this?
Yeah, I was wondering if you guys had a chance to read the indictment, because he didn't earn a dime. He stole settlement money from a paraplegic. he deserves the worst conditions they can throw at
Okay,
him.
I'm going to tell you something, Tim, because I recognize your voice, and you have prank called me before. I absolutely recognize. Yeah, you have, because you're a loser. Tim, what? Let me ask you. Okay, Tim, let me ask you a question. What kind? No, why don't you shut up and listen? Why don't you shut? Pot him down. Pot him down. This idiot on the phone has nothing better to do with his life than to prank call me because he is a Michael Avenatti hater, and he has nothing better to do with his life. Nothing better to do with his life than to prank call people and call Michael out. Listen to his voice. Listen to his squeaky.
See, and that's the guy you got to worry about being on the jury.
Hey, Tim, let's hear your stupid voice. Go ahead, Tim. Go ahead, Tim. Hey, Tim. Hi, I'm Tim. I don't have a life. I'm a Michael Avenatti hater, and I prank call radio shows because I'm a little weasel and I don't have a life. Screw you, Tim. Get off my show.
What is that, music?
You moron. 702-257.
He has pranked before.
Yeah, because he's a moron. He's one of those Michael Avenatti haters who has nothing better to do with his life to make him feel better. He sounds like a little 4-foot-tall weasel.
Well,
what do you think about
what
the
has he got
indictment?
again? I don't understand.
You stupid
what
loser.
He's never met Michael Avenatti. What is he so
because
angry about?
Because he doesn't have a life. He's a loser.
Can you imagine him being in the jury pool in New York? See, that's the thing. That's what I'm scared of.
Yeah. I prank call you, Brian, and I'm going to continue to prank call you. Why don't you get a life, you freaking loser?
I got to write his number down.
Why don't you get laid? When was the last time you were actually with a woman or man? When was the last time you got laid? Why don't you get a life? These people, they have nothing better to do with their time than to prank call people. The guy's probably 40 years old living in his mom's basement, you stupid troll.
I appreciate it. Well, since JD's not here, I'll just I'll play the JD role. Thanks for the call, Tim. We really appreciate you listening.
257-5396. I believe we have Michael. Michael's next on the Vegas Take. Go ahead, Michael.
Hi. Gotta love your trolls, huh?
What up, Michael?
Anyway, this is Michael. I'm a long-time listener. I call in frequently. I'm the one that's a veteran, retired law enforcement, done state and
Appreciate it. Appreciate you, Michael. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I'll give you a perspective. Like, I believe in integrity 110%. I am more Republican leaning. I did vote for Trump and all that. I don't care for Michael Avenatti. Regardless, Lady Justice is blind, and he should be treated as equal as everybody else.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that.
Yeah, with that said, he doesn't deserve to be in his treatment. However, if I understood this correct, he did violate a term of his parole, thus he got arrested again. I'm not sure on the fact there. I could be wrong. Just throwing that out there for thought.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not believe that he should be treated like that. In some states, especially federal, they have white-collar prisons that he should be in. You know, he should, and I understand if they don't have that, they might have put him in solitary for like his own self wellness, so he doesn't.
Yeah, no, listen, Michael. Michael, I hear what you're saying, my man, and I try to be fair and consistent on this show, and I'm trying to be fair when it comes to Michael Avenatti. I don't know if he committed a crime or not. Make no mistake about it. If he committed crimes, he needs to pay for it. And like I said, if you're going to go after the most powerful people in the world, you better not have any skeletons in your closet, Michael. But I think we agree on this. With white-collar crimes, and that's what we're learning here, does he really need to be in solitary confinement 24/7? Does he really need to be treated like a terrorist? I think we all could agree, if we're not biased, and you sound like a reasonable guy, he should be in the general population, and he should be able to talk to his attorneys more than he is able to. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, he's not a violent offender. He has no past of that. So therefore, he should be treated equal. And that's what pisses me off, unfortunately, and I'm saying this as someone from the law enforcement side, is that people, once you get into law enforcement, eventually over years, they develop an us versus them attitude. And so once you're in the system, they're going to treat you like, say, a scrote, like they might somebody who is a violent criminal. And that's totally improper and uncalled for, and unfortunately, it's out there.
Yeah.
This is well publicized, and unfortunately, doing this to Michael is not fair, but it is shining a light on injustices here that's going on.
No, Michael, very well said, and I appreciate your honesty. You sound like a reasonable guy. By the way, thank you for your service, if I haven't already said that, and I do appreciate your phone call, Michael. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure, brother.
All right, thank you. 2575, there's a reasonable guy, not a Michael Avenatti supporter, but let's be treated fair here. 702-257-5396.
He'd be a good juror.
Yeah, 257-5396. That's a good point. Let's go to Kurt. Kurt, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Yeah, I was hoping they'd put Michael back in General Pop where he can be raped and killed.
Okay, thank you, Kurt. We appreciate the phone call. That's the same idiot.
That's constructive.
Yeah, that's the same idiot who called 5 minutes ago.
We have caller ID, Stephen.
Yes, we do. So please write down his number, and we will give that out.
That's how I know the repeat callers.
Yeah. Let's 257-5396.
They're sneaky though. They're sneaky.
All right, I don't know who the names of the other callers are, but let's go to the 702 number. Why don't we do that? You're on the Vegas Take. I don't know who you are, but thank you for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, good morning. This is Brian.
Yes, sir. No, this isn't Brian. This is Michael Avenatti.
Brian, I wish. hey, I look at Mr. Avenatti like Michael Flynn, and they shouldn't have had him. Some of these guys they locked up. It's ridiculous how they do it. They're not like terrorists. I agree with you.
Well, let me say this though, and that's, by the way, that's a fair analogy that you just made, sir. And I'm sorry, what's your name?
Yeah. Oh, this is John.
John, sorry, apologize. So John, I agree with what you just said, but here's the difference. Flynn was never in solitary confinement. Flynn was never in El Chapo's cell, right?
I can't remember which one it was. One of Trump's buddies, they had him all locked
Paul
up.
Manafort. Paul
Manafort.
Manafort. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yep.
They're treating him like a terrorist. It's comical.
I believe, well, hold on, that's a good point. I agree with you. If Paul Manafort was not Donald Trump's campaign manager at one time, I don't know if he would be in prison right now. I really don't.
I agree.
Yeah.
Total mistake even knowing the Orangeman.
You're right.
Hey, listen, on another note, I was laughing extremely hard with your interpretation of that caller. I couldn't even hardly drive.
Hi, I prank call people. I'm a Michael Avenatti hater.
That was almost like Butthead's cousin.
You know what?
Brian,
I have to deal with people like that every day, man.
Hey, one more comment.
Sure.
Hey, this is the true story here. I saw, they've been talking about pigeons lately. I don't want to get involved because I kind of consider them like rats too, but there's a pigeon out in Henderson, and it's got like a purple or pink condom tied around its ankle,
No way.
Just walking around. I didn't want to I'm not going to get involved.
God.
People are doing some weird stuff out here.
Oh, my
I just want to
God.
leave you with that.
That's awful. Well, I guess pigeons are
pigeons. They stretch and won't come off.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, pigeons are now practicing safe sex. That's,
that pigeon. That pigeon could have picked it up somewhere. That pigeon could have gotten trapped around a condom somewhere.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. If there is a sick person out there that is, it's probably the guy who called in and talked like this. He's never put a condom on himself in his entire life. Whoever did that has never put a condom on himself. And is only want to practice on what it feels like to put a condom on somebody else. That would be the guy who called in a few callers ago. Hey, now, man, I appreciate your call, man. Thank you. Thank you. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Talking about Michael Avenatti, and we're taking your phone calls here. Let's go to Seth. Seth, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Yeah. I can't believe anybody is defending Michael Slimeball Avenatti. After him and
what have I said to defend him? What have I said to defend him? What have I said?
That you don't like he's in solitary?
Here's what I am saying. First of all, if he committed a crime, he needs to pay for that. Explain to me. Okay, so explain to me this, Seth. Why is it that someone who's never been convicted of a crime before and has not been accused of any violent crimes, who doesn't have a record, these are white-collar crimes, why would you support him in 24/7 solitary confinement being treated like a terrorist? Please defend that.
It's not so much that I support, it's that I don't care.
Well, of course you don't care because you're a Trump supporter, right? Of course you don't care.
No, I'm an American.
Okay, ask me. Okay, so answer this question. Answer this question. Excuse me. Answer the question.
Why don't you do a show?
Excuse me. Answer. No. Answer the question. Then we'll talk about Manafort. Answer the question. Then we'll do your stupid whataboutism. You voted for Donald Trump and you're a Republican, correct?
Absolutely.
Oh, what a shocker. Goodbye. I lied. See you later. I just proved that you're a moron. Okay, I just said that 5 minutes ago.
Did he say you're not an American?
Yeah, well, he's an idiot. You're not an American.
I don't care Republican or Democrat or whatever. Someone who's accused of a white-collar crime like Avenatti should not be being held in the same conditions as infamous drug lord El Chapo or Khalid Sheikh Mohammed or any of the other terrorists that plotted 9/11. I mean, that's just you want to talk about American? The Constitution prevents cruel and unusual punishment, and I could argue that maybe this is unconstitutional.
Jason, I am so sick of people like Seth who call into a show and say, I don't care, when it comes to a guy that's accused, by the way, not convicted, accused of white-collar crimes, guilty or not, to be treated like a terrorist. And make no mistake about it, the only reason an idiot like that says something like that We learned at the end of the phone call, you're a Trump supporter and you're a Republican. You don't like his politics. You don't like the fact that he's going after your boy. And Seth wears the Donald Trump knee pads every day. Every day.
And if you don't support Trump, you're not American.
And then we have a reasonable Republican that calls in, someone that actually has a brain, who is a real American, Seth. He just called in a few calls ago. He said, I'm a Republican and I'm not a Michael Avenatti supporter. But you know what else he said, Seth? Because he's not a biased hack like you. Here's what he said. He said, I want everyone to be judged fair and equal. He is not a repeat offender. He has never been convicted of a crime, and he does not deserve to be treated the way he's being treated. I respect people like that. Guess what, Seth? I have zero respect for you, just like your wife. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Jim. Jim, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's up?
Or husband.
Hey, about Michael Avenatti, I'm not a supporter of his, but I think maybe for one thing, white-collar crime can be as serious as any crime, and I'm not saying you should be put in confinement for that reason.
Yes.
But you look what Bernie Madoff did to so many people. That's white-collar, right? And my point is, he must have done something to get arrested, which I'm not saying he should be in solitary.
Yeah.
But what about if I think they probably are protecting him, but how many levels of protection cells do we need to have for someone who's been committed been arrested?
I agree.
For a crime?
I agree, Jim. I agree, Jim. And you heard what I said a few calls ago with Paul Manafort. I don't think he'd be in jail right now if he wasn't Donald Trump's campaign manager.
It doesn't matter to me if Republican or Democrat. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And you're right.
How many hotels can they set up?
Listen, Jim, I agree. Jim, you made a lot of great points there, and I agree with you. And I appreciate the phone call. Let's try to squeeze in one more here. Let's go to Lou. Lou, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian. Yeah, I was just wondering about the Avenatti thing. I'm not a supporter of him, but the whole thing is, why couldn't they put an ankle bracelet on him or something? Why?
Good point. Yeah. I'll tell you. I'll give you one word and reason why. Nike. That's why, Lou. I think this is a $100 billion company, and I think Michael's gonna bring them down. And I think they're trying to shut him up. I really do, Lou. I really feel that way.
You know, I understand he brought himself into the political forum.
Which he did, yeah. Yeah, he did.
But, I mean, to treat him that way, I just don't get it,
Yeah, Lou, listen, man, we see it the same way. I agree with you 150%, and point well taken, my friend. Let's try to take one more call. Let's go to Nikki. Nikki, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on, Nikki?
I was curious, what do you think about, how are they going to just not just put him in there? What are the chances of them doing it to everybody else if they can just put him in there for no reason?
Nikki, that's a valid point. I agree with you. I want everyone to be treated fairly. I think if you're, you're right.
They already use solitary confinement too much, and it's proven to cause mental illness as it is.
I think Michael's a strong guy. I think he's going to be okay. But Nikki, you bring up some very valid points. I would have no problem. I had no problem with them treating El Chapo like this. But Michael Avenatti is no El Chapo. I'm sure you would agree.
I agree.
El Chapo said he went nuts.
Yeah.
He wrote the same kind of letter that to the judge that Avenatti did, and said he's having hallucinations from being in there all the time. So
it's not fair.
And he's a hardened drug kingpin.
It's so amazing because you could take a phone call in the first 5 seconds, you can tell if they're biased or not. It's unbelievable. All right, everybody, we appreciate all the phone calls. We're going to continue to monitor this tomorrow, and hopefully we'll get some updates from the courtroom. We are going to take a 21-hour break. Me and Jason are headed to the AVN Expo. It's a tough job, but somebody has to do it. We'll be back in about 21 hours, folks. Maybe we'll see Sean Hannity there, but he's coming up next.
You work hard and you train hard, and let's face it, sometimes it hurts. But it doesn't have to be that way. Stick it to the pain with the Tiger Balm Pain Relieving Patch. Convenient to apply, hydrogel technology sends Tiger Balm's proven pain relief right to your aches and pains. It's fast, safe, and long-lasting. Made from a blend of herbal ingredients, Tiger Balm is trusted pain relief for everyone, from world-class athletes to